morning, everybody. And of course, this is a day that we did not want to see, not only for crypto, of course, not only for any of the markets out there, but for real lives, for real humans out there. We pray for everybody being affected by this crisis right now in the Ukraine. And it's just really hard to watch. And, we are going to talk about how it's going to affect the crypto markets, how it already is affecting the crypto markets respectfully. But I just, thought off the top here to start the stream, we've got to kind of pull away from money and making money in crypto and all of that's great, right? We all want to do that, but there are bigger things in life. And of course, one of those bigger things are real lives that are being lost right now, that are being affected in ways that are unimaginable. So with all of that being said, we are going to dive into the, ongoing situation in Russia and Ukraine and how it's affecting the crypto markets, the global markets. So we're going to be on stream here for a little while. And thank you all so much for tuning in. Real quick, couple other things. Number one, please, no political spamming in the chats. I don't think this is a time to do that. This is a time to, pray for those all affected. This is never the correct answer. So I don't want to see any of that in the chat. If we do, we're going to get you out of here. And that's what I've got for you here at the top. So obviously very alarming last night. The crypto markets felt it. The regular markets are feeling it today. We're going to get into that, what we're looking at, what we're doing, what our plans are, what our strategies are, as well as just keep up to date with the latest news, because Joe Biden is supposed to come out today with sanctions as it relates to Russia and that situation. He's also, supposed to talk about cryptocurrency this week. My guess is that will not happen. Obviously, I think this took front and center stage. Could be wrong, but I just don't see him right now talking about cryptocurrency as a one-off with all of the goings on right now in Russia and Ukraine. So that's what I've got. Basically, let's jump in and let's see what we've got here. All right, so let me share my screen with you. Also, real quick, like the stream, subscribe. Let's get as many people in here as we can so we can all learn together. I've been listening to live streams all night long, pretty much. And let's jump in. Let's see here. All right, so let's go over to the crypto market here real quick. Let's take a look at some of the prices here. Bitcoin is down to 35.6. We did see a lower Bitcoin price. Okay, so we are reversing a little bit here in the short term. Will there be more pain? We don't know. I think a lot of it will hinge on what comes out of today as it relates to what the United States is going to do to counteract what's going on in Russia and Ukraine. It did dip down here to 34.5 at one time. We are back up to 35.5 essentially off those lows that hit yesterday a couple different times in the 34s. So if we bounce back over to Ethereum, we could see a similar story. Of course, we want to watch these two closer than any other asset because, it makes up about 60% of the crypto market. It drives everything either forward or backwards as it relates to the global crypto market. So Ethereum got down here to 2,300, 2,315, actually twice. Very similar look here at the Ethereum chart as it relates to the Bitcoin chart. Very, very similar here. So we did get down to that 33 number. We are just, 23 number. We are just now above the 2.4 number at the time of this recording. All right, so we can take a look at some of the small caps here too, and everything is just getting pummeled right now. Cardano's down to 77 cents, Solana down to $82, Shiba Inu's down 17%, 28% in the last week. It's down here to the 2.1 range. Polygon is getting slaughtered here, down 17%. Kronos is also getting hit hard. Everything is just a sea of red right now in the crypto market. However, this provides an opportunity, as we talk about, when things do get low. Just remember, when everybody is freaking out and obviously selling off, opportunities do arise, and you have to be opportunistic in this space if you want to get in at good entry spots. So I am watching things very, very closely. I've yet to start buying. I'm just kind of watching to see what happens today. I do think we can maybe trade sideways until we get some further news on how the United States is going to handle this, how other parts of the world are going to handle this. So that's what I've got here. Also, we do the first sip real quick because good days and bad days, it's always important to do the first sip. And shout out to Sheba Brew for the coffee mug. Very cool. Thank you for that. So we are going to get into some live coverage now between Russia and Ukraine. We're going to tune in for a little bit. I will interject and let's listen in a little bit right now. What's going on?
To what's going to play out on the world markets. And then, of course, the Russian economy moving forward. What does that mean for all of us?
Listen, it's a problem for us in that we are not in a position where we want to see our economic recovery slow down, and it could likely do that. When we get headlines like this, right, you've got the American people suddenly saying, maybe I'm not going to take that trip. Maybe I'm not going to buy that car. And when we stop spending, when consumer spending goes down, that hurts our economic recovery. Here's one of the issues, though, about Russia sanctions. Vladimir Putin does not care if the Russian people suffer economically. He's a multi-billionaire. And while we're saying, oh, they're going to go after the Russian oligarchs, you know what the Russian oligarchs don't have? Their money sitting in big banks that can be seized. They know how to hide their assets. They won't necessarily be impacted. Vladimir Putin won't be impacted, and he doesn't care if the Russian people suffer.
Stephanie Rule, an amazing point there at the end there, even though it's heartbreaking to hear. Thank you so much. We'll be back with you in a little while. Now, the U.S. is also monitoring any potential cybersecurity threats at home and abroad as Russia advances into Ukraine. NBC senior national security analyst Juan Zarate joins us now. Juan, good morning. So how big of a threat does the U.S. face right now from a potential cyber attack, and are we ready to protect ourselves?
Well, the U.S. government has been worried now for several weeks about Russian attacks. Certainly, we've seen Russian cyber attacks on U.S. infrastructure and targets over the years. But last month, a cybersecurity advisory was put out by DHS, the FBI, the National Security Agency, warning the U.S. private sector that the Russians could deploy a range of cyber attacks and tools like they have in the past, not just against the U.S., but against Ukraine and other neighbors, to disable systems, to access systems, to potentially even destroy data. And that advisory and most recent advisories have warned about those potential attacks, have urged even for threat hunting within systems, given what we know about Russians embedding malware and other viruses in systems. And taking whatever measures are possible to secure cyber infrastructure. We know this is a vulnerability we have, and we know that the Russians are willing to wield this tool, not just against their neighbors, but against the West. And it's certainly a threat that Putin has in his back pocket that he can wield and use at his disposal.
Juan, Ukraine already dealing with a cyber attack, which came before the actual physical attack on the country. This is what we sort of expected, but what more can you tell us about that and the impact that cyber attack has now that we're in this phase of things with Russia actually sending in tanks and troops?
Well, this was anticipated. We have seen the Russians attack the Ukrainian cyber infrastructure before, their energy infrastructure, their banks, their government ministries. So when the tensions were rising, it was anticipated that the Russians would begin to poke and prod in the cyber domain, and that once an invasion would happen, that they would deploy certain cyber tools. So what we saw in advance of the physical invasion was a cyber attack, what seems to be more of a blunt force denial of service attack, which means attacking websites, bringing them down. But that was anticipated. And what we see are government sites struggling to stay online. And we just have to see if the Russians are going to take this further to try to destroy data and systems. That's really the kind of the outer edge of the spectrum of cyber attacks. And that is always a potential. And this is frankly something that the Baltic countries and neighboring countries are worried about as well. And so they are raising their cyber shields, if you will, to defend against potential Russian attacks.
Raising their cyber shields. Juan, thank you so much. We'll keep our eyes on this. And reaction is, of course, pouring in from around the world as this crisis in Ukraine unfolds.
We want to go to Ali Arouzi in Tehran, who has more on that global reaction. Ali, good morning.
Good morning, Joe. Good morning, Savannah. Well, in the wake of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, Taiwan has raised its alert level and enhanced vigilance for any possible military action by China. The move has elicited an angry response from Beijing, who dismissed any link between Ukraine and Taiwan, saying that Taiwan isn't Ukraine and has always been an inalienable part of China. Although China has stepped up its military activities around Taiwan over the last couple of years, no unusual movements have been reported as tensions over Ukraine have spiked. Prime Minister Boris Johnson has said that Russia's invasion of Ukraine is a catastrophe for the continent of Europe. He chaired an emergency meeting this morning and will give a televised statement later on the UK's response to Russia's unprovoked attack. The UK has said it will respond decisively to Russia's attack on Ukraine. Boris Johnson tweeted that Putin had chosen a path of bloodshed and destruction, and the UK is expected to announce more sanctions against Russia later today. The head of the Labour Party has called for the harshest possible sanctions against Putin and his associates. However, Britain's tough stance on Russia is somewhat undermined by London's reputation as a playground for Kremlin-linked oligarchs. And Poland has welcomed Germany's suspension of the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, the Polish Prime Minister calling it a harmful and dangerous geopolitical project that strengthens Russia's antagonism. But they say it's nowhere near enough to curb Russia's aggression and are calling for very heavy punitive measures to be imposed on Moscow. The Polish government has also approved a homeland defense bill, which will increase military spending in the wake of the Russian invasion. And those are those headlines for now, guys.
All right. Yeah, a lot to keep our eyes on there, and we will do so. Ali, thank you so much. And now it's time for our CNBC Money Minute. Let's get a check-in with them.
Yeah, Silvana Henao is here with more on really how the markets are reacting to Russia's attack on Ukraine. Silvana, good morning.
Hey guys, good morning. Yeah, well, Wall Street is set to open sharply lower as global markets react to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. U.S. stock futures are off the lows of the overnight session as traders assess the situation. Asian and European markets are sliding, with Germany and France down 4%. Oil prices are jumping, with Brent crude, which is the global benchmark, trading well above $100 a barrel. That's the highest level since 2014. U.S. WTI crude also breaching $100 a barrel on concerns about potential supply disruptions. Russia is the world's second largest oil producer and the largest provider of natural gas to Europe, accounting for 35% of supply. Russia stock markets plunging today. The main index on the Moscow exchange falling as much as 50% before coming off those lows. The RTS falling more than 30%. Trading in the ruble was halted briefly overnight after it tumbled to a record low against the dollar. Investors are moving into so-called safe haven assets today, such as the dollar, the Japanese yen, Swiss franc, and gold, the precious metal, trading at its highest level in more than a year. Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies not seeing the same flight to safety, with Bitcoin briefly trading below $35,000, guys.
All right, Silvana, thank you so much. We'll be back with more NBC News Now after a short break.
Okay, we'll mute that, and we'll come back to this in and out throughout the stream. We'll come back to just to kind of keep up to speed with what's going on. I'm already starting to see some political things in the chat. Please keep it out of here. Okay, in terms of which newscast I just found the first live stream I could find. I just want to keep up to date. I am not a very political person, so keep all of that BS out of the chat. This is about number one, prayers for everybody involved, and number two, how it's affecting the crypto market. Okay, that is what we're talking about. I don't want to talk politics on this channel. There's a reason why we get into crypto, we get into other things, other forms of entertainment. I think most of us want to break away from quote unquote the real world a little bit. So please keep that out, or else I'm just going to put you in timeout like a kindergartner, like a kindergartner teacher would. So that's what we're going to do on that front. All right, so let's see what else here. There's an article that I found here before I came on live. I have yet to read it, though, so I want to read it together and kind of talk about what could be coming based on potential sanctions. So here's the headline. Russia could use cryptocurrency to blunt the force of U.S. sanctions. Russian companies have many cryptocurrency tools at their disposal to evade sanctions, including a so-called digital ruble and ransomware. It's really important to note. Let me find the exact stat. How big Russia is invested in crypto. Top countries that hold crypto, and we could see here top 10 countries with the most cryptocurrency holders. We could see here Russia is number 3, right behind the U.S. Okay, and this fluctuates back and forth from time to time. India, of course, huge population. They have number 1 at 100 million. This is a rough estimate right now. Okay, United States there at 27 million. Russia's right there though at 17 million. So a lot of holders of cryptocurrency reside in Russia. The Russian government have been buying Bitcoin for a very long time. So keep that in mind. Ukraine also is right there under Brazil. So it sits at number 6. India, USA, Russia is number 3, Nigeria, Brazil, and Ukraine right there, number 6% of the population. Look at that. That's actually the highest percent of per population. Ukraine has almost 13% of the population holding cryptocurrency. So very interesting to say the least. Okay, so let's get back into this article. I just wanted to kind of zoom out there for a second. When the United States barred Americans from doing business with Russian banks, oil and gas developers, and other companies in 2014, after the country's invasion of Crimea, the hit to Russia's economy was swift and immense. Economists estimated that sanctions imposed by Western nations costed Russia $50 billion a year. Since then, the global market for cryptocurrencies and other digital assets has ballooned. That's bad news for enforcers of sanctions and good news for Russia. On Tuesday, the Biden administration enacted fresh sanctions on Russia over the conflict in Ukraine. We are expected to hear more on that front sometime today, aiming to thwart its access to foreign capital. But Russian entities are preparing to blunt some of the worst effects by making deals with anyone around the world willing to work with them, experts said. And they say those entities can use digital currencies to bypass the control points that governments rely on, mainly transfers of money by banks to block deal execution. Okay. Former federal prosecutor who now heads up the anti-money laundering and sanctions practice over at the Washington law firm Ferrari & Associates says Russia has had a lot of time to think about this specific consequence. It would be naive to think that they haven't gamed out exactly this scenario. So sanctions are some of the most powerful tools the United States and European countries have to influence the behavior of nations they don't consider allies. The U.S. in particular is able to use sanctions as a diplomatic tool because the dollar is the world's reserve currency and used in payments worldwide. It's also the transactional currency when it comes down to oil as well. Who wants to acquire oil will have to first, get their hands on USD. But American government officials are increasingly aware of the potential for cryptocurrencies to lessen the impact of sanctions and are stepping up their security of digital assets. So this is certainly something to watch, certainly something that impacts us as crypto investors. Now, to apply sanctions, a government makes a list of people and businesses its citizens must avoid. Anyone caught engaging with a member of the list faces heavy fines. But the real key to any effective sanctions program is the global financial system. Banks around the world play a major role in enforcement. They see where money comes from and where it's bound, and anti-money laundering laws require them to block transactions with sanctioned entities and report that they see to authorities. But if banks are the eyes and ears of government in this space, the explosion of digital currencies is perhaps blinding them. So again, President Biden was supposed to say something on cryptocurrencies this week. I doubt we get anything on that front because of obviously what's happened here with Russia and Ukraine over the past 24 hours. I'm guessing that this is going to be delayed. I would not expect to see something said on this front, at least right now. So if we scroll on down here, should it choose to evade sanctions, Russia has multiple cryptocurrency-related tools at its disposal, expert says. All it needs is to find ways to trade without touching the dollar. Now, the Russian government is developing its own central bank digital currency, a so-called digital ruble, ruby, that it hopes to use to trade directly with other countries willing to accept it without first converting it into dollars. Hacking techniques like ransomware could help Russian actors steal digital currencies and make up revenue lost to sanctions. So we know that Russia is very sophisticated when it comes to cyber warfare. So where could they have the most lucrative acquisitions? Probably digital currencies. So this is something that could affect us. We need to be aware of that. Make sure your crypto is safe. Okay. Make sure you're on trusted exchanges. Also, the best thing to do is back it up on ledgers. Right. The Nano X is one that I personally use. So make sure your crypto is safe out there. And while cryptocurrency transactions are recorded on the underlying blockchain, making them transparent, this is an interesting point. New tools developed in Russia can help mask the origin of such transactions. Okay. This would allow businesses to trade with Russian entities without detection. Now, there is a precedent for these kinds of workarounds. Iran and North Korea are among countries that have used digital currencies to mitigate the effects of Western sanctions, a trend that the U.S. and United Nations officials have recently observed. North Korea, for instance, has used ransomware to steal cryptocurrencies to fund its nuclear program, according to a UN report. So very, very interesting things here to kind of watch here as this plays out, as sanctions potentially come down. Russia could use cryptocurrency to blunt the force of U.S. sanctions, and we've got to be very, very careful as crypto investors. Now, Russia could find willing partners in other nations targeted by U.S. sanctions, including Iran, and are also developing anti-government-backed digital currencies. China, Russia's largest trading partner in both imports and exports, according to World Bank, has already launched its own central bank digital currency, hence why they completely got out of cryptocurrency and banned it and banned crypto mining. The country's leader recently described China's relationship with Russia as having no limits. The developing system of central banks directly exchanging digital currencies creates new risks. A fellow at the Center for New American Security, who has also studied the effects of cryptocurrency on sanctions, says the lessening of U.S. sanctions power comes from a system where these nations are able to do transactions without going through the global banking system. In early February, independent sanctions monitors told the UN Security Council that North Korea was using cryptocurrencies to fund its nuclear and ballistic missile program. This is according to Reuters. Last May, the consulting firm Elliptic described how Iran was using revenue from Bitcoin mining to make up for the limitations on its ability to sell oil because of sanctions. So that's what we've got on this front. We are going to continue to pull up different various articles as it relates to cryptocurrencies in the global markets. We're going to go a little bit beyond crypto as well and talk more about the global financial markets as well. But let's listen in a little bit more to the news here and see, making sure we're staying up to speed, because again, this is really important to stay in the know here and how it's going to affect the markets. And as always, I just want to keep this at the forefront, praying for everybody affected right now in the Ukraine.
Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
Let's bring in NBC News correspondent Josh Letterman now. He's been tracking developments from Washington for us. Josh, the president is set to speak. Now we see in the noon hour Eastern time here. He's been meeting with the G7, the other G7 leaders this morning. What can we expect to hear from the president today?
Well, that meeting with the G7 leaders is underway right now, Aaron. That started at 9:17 a.m., according to the White House. And in the statement that we heard from President Biden overnight, condemning the new Russian military incursion, President Biden signposted that there would be more sanctions coming today. And of course, we've been discussing whether the initial rounds of sanctions that the U.S. has imposed over the last couple of days was sufficient, was actually going to deter further action from the Russians. The U.S. government has said that while they wanted to start high with the first sanctions they imposed in the last couple of days, they didn't want to use every tool in their toolbox and then leave them unable, without any additional steps to take if Russia, as expected, escalated, which of course they have night. And so some of those sanctions, those punishments the U.S. has kept in reserve, we expect President Biden will announce today after he's able to coordinate those with those European countries who are part of the G7 to make sure this is not something the U.S. is doing alone. So the steps we are looking to see whether President Biden will announce today include whether he will kick Russia off of the SWIFT international banking system, which is something that has been widely discussed, but could also have significant ramifications for everyday Russians who would lose the ability, for example, to send wire transfers. It would really harm the economy there. Also looking to see whether the Biden administration will expand their sanctions on Russian banks to more financial institutions that had been sanctioned before, as well as the likelihood that additional Russian oligarchs or even President Putin himself could be targeted with additional sanctions. The president expected to announce those new steps, as well as other coordination with the allies when he speaks early this afternoon after wrapping up that meeting with the G7 leaders.
Josh,
let's pause it right there for a second. I want to address Nick J's comment. What's up, Nick? I know you're always in here. What's up, Zay? What's up, Troy? How you guys doing? Corey, how we doing? Matt, Peter, how we doing, everybody? Tough day out there, of course, but we are here, and we need to talk about what's going on. Welcome, crypto winter. I think we're certainly in a bear market, in my opinion. Certainly in a bear market. I just don't know if crypto winter, these 4-year cycles where crypto will basically tank, I don't know if they're real anymore. I think we're slowly getting out of the 4-year cycles. Personally, that's what I think. I do think there will be bear markets and bull markets, just like any markets. But I don't think we're in crypto winters anymore. I think this is just a bear market. We're going to go through phases of bear markets and bull markets like we do in the traditional stock market. That's what I think, at least. Let me know your guys' thoughts down below. Do you think we we'll continue to see crypto winters, for example, or do you think it's going to be more of these just bear markets? Maybe they're elongated bear markets, elongated bull markets, but I don't think we're going to have crypto winters per se anymore. I just don't think we're at that stage anymore in cryptocurrency. I think we've moved well beyond that stage personally. But yeah, that's just my 2 cents. The Grand Casino hat. Yeah, we threw it on there. There we go. Matt says, I agree, no winter. Let me know your guys' thoughts about that. Do you think crypto winters are essentially dead, or do you think we'll continue to see crypto winters? If you look at the macro, there has never been a true bear market in crypto. That's a good point too. Yeah, that's true. But these crypto winters, I mean, obviously have a lot to do with the Bitcoin halving. I get that. But there's just more money that is interjected in crypto, a lot more money over the last 2 years. Even with the market being down and not a lot of new money coming in right now, it's still so much more mainstream than it was. And I think that alone, and just the amount of people who stake, that keep cryptocurrency, quote unquote, within the market and not taking it out, I think it allows for less crypto winter-ish conditions. Let's see. The elites are afraid of crypto. Well, yeah, they want regulation first before they jump in. Some of them are already in. There are some institutional investors already in, no question. I think the only winter we need to care about is a nuclear winter. Well, let's hope not. Let's definitely hope not. That's the last thing I want to see happen. For obvious reasons. Maybe the new winter is a 3 to 6 month cycle for bear and bull markets. That's exactly, Nick. I like that. That's a really good idea. Good thought. I think you're onto something here, because traditionally these 3 to 4 year cycles were pretty brutal, and I think we've seen these 3 to 6 month cycles over the last year and a half or so, right? Where we've been in this bull and bear market for 3 to 6 months. Now, we'll see. We need more data. We need more history. We need to see how this thing progresses. But I think as we continue to add to the global crypto market cap, as we continue to grow that 4% of people who hold cryptocurrency, the less likely we are to see crypto winters, because there's just more money in the market at any given time. So buying all the way down. Yes, let me know what you guys are doing in terms of this. Are you buying the dip? And what are you buying? We're going to get into that discussion here a little bit later. I figured right now it's important that we just kind of hang out here for a while and be on this live stream and stay up to speed with the latest. Let's go back in and listen and see what's going to go on, because this is important. What Biden says as it relates to sanctions is going to be very important for the crypto markets, very important for the global markets. And again, I just pulled up this article. Russia could use cryptocurrency to blunt the force of U.S. sanctions. So this is directly tied and directly related to what we do as crypto investors.
Now, there have not been any airstrikes within the city of Lviv. There have been missile strikes, I believe, in neighboring cities like Ivano-Frankivsk, Lutsk and Brody, but it was really surreal to hear the air raid sirens going off. And I went up and asked people, is this for a specific reason, or is this just general notice? And they were like, I guess just general. When I came out later this afternoon, almost all the stores and restaurants on the main market square were closed. There were big lines at the ATMs. There were a lot of people with rolling suitcases, and it was quiet, somber, but orderly, and not panicked.
Joel, how long have you lived there in Lviv, and what looks different to you? I mean, you said people weren't panicked, but I would imagine just the air around you looks and feels different.
So I spent the last 4 years in Ukraine, the vast majority of it in Kyiv. I moved out here about 3.5 weeks ago because I considered the possibility of violence coming to Kyiv to be significant enough that I didn't want to be in Kyiv for a while. Yeah, the few weeks before this, people really weren't expecting this to happen. People were, whereas now there was definitely more tension in the air when I was out walking around about an hour ago.
Now, did you take any precautions? The warnings were coming. They increased over the last few days in particular. Did you take any precautions as this potential for an invasion became a reality?
So I am and I remain fairly confident that serious Russian violence will not reach Lviv. I've stocked up on cash. I've stocked up on water. I've stocked up on durable grains like buckwheat, or they call it out here.
All right, we will. We're going to mute this for a second. We're going to go talk about the markets here a little bit here. So let me wait till this refreshes, and I'll keep this in the background. I want to pull up some articles over on cryptonews.net as it relates to the crypto market where we're heading. So let's over for and cryptonews.net. Good resource here too. This is a news aggregator where you can get up to speed on the latest top news around the crypto space. They've got a search. You can hear and type in basically any crypto and find some major less risk by some. Obviously, Bitcoin, Ethereum are going to be far less risky than small caps right now. Russia's assault on Ukraine hit financial markets Thursday. Stocks and futures in Europe and Asia falling 2%, and the crypto market losing nearly 9%. Bitcoin fell about 9% in the last 24, touching weekly lows of 34.7. Actually got down a little bit lower than that. Other major cryptos also slumped. Solana was down 15%, Cardano 18%, among the biggest cryptos by market cap, losing over 15%. Right now, the markets have the highest demand for liquid instruments, making Bitcoin slightly less of a risk than altcoins. This is a senior financial analyst at FX Pro in an email to CoinDesk. It is likely that a further deterioration in the financial situation could benefit the first cryptocurrency as a means of capital savings for investors from Ukraine, Russia, and some nearby countries. Interesting perspective here. Again, Bitcoin is looked at as a store of wealth, store of value. So, in the short term here, it's getting pummeled. But in the long term, is this really building a case for why Bitcoin is so important? Let me know your thoughts about this down below. And he also went on to say here, the continued flight from risky assets, including equities, could temporarily destabilize altcoins. So it is possible that we will see double-digit losses in altcoins more than once in the coming days. So again, nobody has a crystal ball, but we are, continuing to monitor this right now. In terms of what I'm doing strategy-wise, I did move into some stable coins yesterday, basically right on the heels of this news. I moved a good portion of money out of Ethereum into a stable coin just to sit on the sidelines and wait to see what happens. If it does go lower, then I might, deploy some of those funds that are in stable coins back into Ethereum. But I just kind of want to be sitting on mostly cash and or stable coins right now, as it relates to the markets because we just don't know where it's heading. We don't know what the sanctions are going to look like today. We don't know if this is the lowest we're going to go in the crypto market. So if you're getting some value out of the stream, please smash the like button or like the smash button. Subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to keep it friendly and fun here. I mean, obviously, this is a serious situation, so we have to address it as such. But we still have to, enjoy this a little bit too. And it's always a good day when you wake up. You can have that perspective as well, because there's a lot of people right now fighting for their lives in various countries related to this news. So let's take a look at some of the other articles out here. Gold outperforming Bitcoin in 2022. I did see this yesterday. Gold's up like 5%. Now, don't get crazy with this. I mean, gold has like a good year every 10 years. It's been pretty much a terrible investment the last 10 years or so. It has not done anything. But right now in 2022, gold is significantly outperforming Russia amid the inflation and Russia-Ukraine war threat. So is that the safe haven right now? Gold? Sure, if you want to get that 4 to 5%, it could be a place you could store some money. Bitcoin's latest tumble as the Russia-Ukraine conflict has intensified saw it diverge further from gold this year, raising more questions over the token's viability as a safe haven. All right, so that right there is an angle that like basically says like Bitcoin is far less risky than gold and blah, blah, blah. I disagree with that. The last 10 years, Bitcoin has pummeled gold in return. So in my opinion, my humble opinion, gold is still not a great investment right now. It once was. But if you're asking yourself Bitcoin or gold, I would certainly say Bitcoin. So it could be an inflation hedge, but back to that other point, I think over time, here in the short term, we're seeing Bitcoin getting pummeled, but over time, I think Bitcoin will be a much, much better inflation hedge than gold will be. All right. So, but just to give you kind of a little bit of insight here, gold has surged by 7.5% in January, and basically Bitcoin's down to I think it was down like 25, 26% last time I checked in 2022. So every once in a while, gold has a good year. Okay, but don't get too crazy, in my opinion. Let's see here. Let's see what other top news stories we have. This is just Bitcoin, actually. Let's see here. Pain ahead for major cryptos. We just kind of went over that one. Sub 30K Bitcoin price sell-off would require panic to a large degree. So essentially, a lot of people, I've heard this a lot too. A lot of people setting the floor down here at 30K. And that could be the basement. 30K for Bitcoin. Of course, everything is, hinges on Bitcoin and Ethereum. Right now, we're at 35.7. We're actually bouncing up a little bit from where our lows were late last night when I was looking. Ethereum got down to about 23, low 23s last night. We are up from that, so that's good to see. Slowly coming back here. Cardano, same thing. This thing was down to like 75 cents at one time. We are bouncing off that. Solana was down to like $78 at one time. So we're down 8% on the day. This has been as high as like 11%, at least since I've been watching. But yeah, a lot of people putting this 30K price tag on Bitcoin saying we won't go much further than this. But here we go. Order books, essentially the list of orders that a trading outlet implements to show the interest of buyers and sellers, show considerable buyer interest right at 30K. So there could be a lot of money sitting on the sidelines, and a lot of money even, hooked into bots, where if it hits that 30K price tag or close to it, a lot of people would start buying and accumulating Bitcoin. I think a lot of people have already started accumulating Bitcoin down here in these low threes, especially on large exchanges, they say here on Coinbase and Binance. There is 5,000 Bitcoin sat ready to purchase down to a $30,000 price, and another 7,000 BTC down to a $28,000 price on Binance. So those are some levels to watch. If we do dip down there, expect a lot of money to start buying up Bitcoin down at these 30,000 levels, which is good to know, right? Because as we sit right now, we're sitting at the 35.9. Actually, slowly coming back up here is Bitcoin. All right, let me hop over the chat here and see what's going on. Let's see here. What else do we got here? What's up, Ashley? How we doing? Can't move into stable coins, already 50% down. I hear you. Yeah, and that's fine too. If you can buy the dip, that'd be great. Zach, you're breaking up on my end. Is this happening for others? Let me know. Am I breaking up, guys? Let me know down below if I'm breaking up. Hopefully not. Personally, I'm buying E on the way down. Jump back into altcoins when things stabilize. I like it, Oregon. I like it. Yep. Russia did not invade Ukraine. East Ukraine, 2 states are independent from referendum. Russia is sending in peace prayers. Russia destroying the deep state money laundering system. Thank you for that insight, Harmonious. Wolfpack, good morning. God bless. What's up, Crypto with Mike? How you doing, man? Any more roundtables coming up with Sandstorm or other YouTubers? Yeah, I'd like to have some roundtables here on this channel too. We could definitely do that. I'd love to entertain that. Those are fun roundtables. Nice to just shoot the shit and have fun. I agree, man. I agree, Nick. I think one of those are in order for sure. Muzz, what's up, man? Troy, Patreon link down below. Yeah, come on over and join us. We're always talking about the latest and greatest news and information. We're talking about new assets, strategies, crypto taxes right around the corner. And of course, you'll get my buy and sell trade alerts as well. Believe it or not, Shiba Let It Burn channel by Matthew Perry, Burning the Shiba Inu. Check out Let It Burn channel. I did hear about Matthew Perry's channel, and shout out to him, man, for putting together a great plan on this front. So that's very, very cool. I'm loving it. A lot of people say waiting on the dip. I mean, we're definitely experiencing a dip right now, but El Duro, you're not wrong. We could see more pain. There's no question. We could see more pain here. We'll have to wait and see. No breaking up. Yes, breaking up. Okay, so some people say, yes, you're good. Yes, you are breaking up. You're good, not breaking up. Okay. All right, so we're getting some mixed feelings on that. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. This too shall pass. Hodl. Thanks, Abel. Should we still hold SHIB? I'm still holding. Thanks, Tony. Appreciate it, man. All right, let's tune into the news here a little bit, and I'm going to go make another cup of coffee, but let's listen in here, and I will be right back. I'm going to put a note up on screen. I'll be right back. I'm going to make another cup of coffee in my new coffee mug from Shiba Brew. These are not yet available. Whoa, I just spilled some on my laptop. These are not yet available, but they will be. Now I got to wipe up my laptop here. Hold on. That's not good. We do not want to get this laptop wet at all. This is a brand new laptop. This is a brand new Mac. I think we're good, though. It was just a small amount. So, all right, I'm going to make some more coffee, and there you go. We're having some fun. I'm on my 3rd sip. Nice. This will be my 2nd. I've only had 1 cup. All right, so let's listen in here and see what's going on.
A conservative activist. She was featured and promoted number 4 on the list here. And she says that this situation here is the U.S.'s fault, our fault.
Vaughn Hilliard for us in Orlando today. Vaughn, thank you.
Meanwhile, a convoy of truckers is heading from Southern California to Washington, D.C. The so-called People's Convoy will make the drive to protest COVID-related mandates. Now, the Pentagon is now deploying the National Guard and officials to the nation's capital to make security preparations. NBC senior congressional correspondent Garrett Hake joins us now. Hi there, Garrett.
Hey, Morgan. Look, it's tough to tell how seriously to take the threats of these trucker protests. We have seen protests coming from Pennsylvania yesterday that turned out to be one guy in a semi-truck and a couple of other cars following him. There are lots of other convoys like the People's Convoy posting online. And here at the Capitol, police know they have to take this threat very seriously. A convoy led by at least a dozen truckers setting off from Southern California on a 2,500-mile mission to protest COVID-related mandates in Washington, D.C.
We, the people, want our country back. We do not want to be under a dictatorship.
The so-called People's Convoy is one of several loosely organized groups expected to converge on the D.C. region over the next week and a half, inspired by recent demonstrations that shut down Canada's capital city and border crossings, cheered on by some congressional Republicans.
I would absolutely welcome a similar pronouncement of protest in our nation's capital by truckers and anyone who wants their freedoms back.
Local and state police agencies say they're prepared to deal with protests that could create massive traffic backups on the Capitol Beltway or attempts to blockade downtown D.C. The Pentagon on Tuesday authorizing up to 700 unarmed National Guardsmen and 50 vehicles to help with traffic control. And Capitol Police considering reinstalling a perimeter fence around the Capitol, at least through next Tuesday's State of the Union.
Are you confident in the security of the Capitol ahead of the State of the Union this year?
Well, again, this is in the realm of the police. They have a good handle on what the expectation is. Some of it won't even come until after the State of the Union, but no, I feel confident.
Some security measures already in place, including the heavy-duty vehicles behind me blocking access roads to the Capitol. And that convoy won't make it here until late next week, Morgan, but the National Guard troops that have been requested are expected to come on duty starting this weekend.
All right, NBC's Garrett Hake for us there live from the Capitol. Garrett, thank you so much.
We are continuing to follow breaking news. The Russian invasion of Ukraine now underway.
NBC News is on the ground in Ukraine just after the break. Stay with us. You're watching NBC News Now.
In the City of Angels, two kindly old ladies wanted to help homeless men get off the streets forever. And so they did. Listen to The Thing About Helen and Olga, the new podcast from Dateline and Keith Morrison.
Welcome to The Tonight Show. Let me show you how it's done. I don't want to be a Lego.
Okay, we will obviously mute that during the commercial here. And so basically what we're trying to do here, guys, is just get as much information as we can. Thank you so much for the super chat there, Vibe. Appreciate it. Just got another cup of coffee in my Shiba Brew mug. So that's cool as shit. That's good. Buy the dip, son. Everybody taking a first sip. If you've taken a first sip this morning, drop in first sip in the chat. First sip in the chat. If you've taken a first sip this morning, drop in first sip. Speaking of first sip, there's first sip coffee that is available out there. Breaking news here. Let's listen in.
Launched attacks on multiple cities in Ukraine. Sirens rang out across the country, including near the capital city, Kyiv, just minutes after Russian President Vladimir Putin said in a televised address that he was authorizing military action.
Now, Ukrainian officials say dozens of people have been killed so far. Ukrainian President Zelensky declaring martial law overnight, closing hospitals and schools and ordering everyone to stay home. He said the country was being attacked, quote, from the south, north, east, and the air. He also called on Ukrainians to take up arms.
We are covering this breaking story from every single angle. Let's go ahead and begin with NBC national security correspondent Ken Delaney. Ken, we have heard talk of severe economic sanctions as a proposed response to Russia. Do we yet have a sense of how much further the U.S. could go with those sanctions?
Morgan, that's the big question right now. We know what's been discussed. We know what options President Biden is considering. We don't know exactly what he's going to do. And we do know that Vladimir Putin has warned other nations not to interfere and not to retaliate, or they risk consequences. So this is a really big decision, obviously, for the president. We know that he's considering further sanctions on Russian banks, essentially isolating Russia from the dollar economy, taking them off the SWIFT system, the international banking transfer system, is on the table. We don't know yet whether he's going to go through with that. So some huge decisions, and the president has to consider the consequences of them. But there seems to be a global consensus that more needs to be done here, Morgan.
Are there any other tools, Ken, that NATO and the U.S. have in their arsenal other than the use of military force to really get the reaction and get Putin to stop?
Yes, SWIFT's their biggest competitor.
Absolutely, but it's really delicate
XRP
because
competitor.
those tools tend to be covert. There is secret CIA covert action to help the Ukrainian resistance and to try to destabilize what the Russians are doing. And there is cyber, Morgan, and that is a big question. The U.S. has an arsenal of offensive cyber weapons, which are rarely used. And a lot of people in Washington right now are saying, what do we have these cyber weapons for if we're not going to use them right now? And that is another big question that the president has to consider, whether to retaliate against Russian forces in Ukraine, or Russia directly using cyber, and whether that's something the U.S. does openly or whether it does secretly and denies that it's doing it, even though most of the world will assume the U.S. is doing it, Morgan.
Which is interesting because we know that President Biden has been very clear that he will not send American troops to the ground there, but Ukraine has its own military. What can you tell us about the state of that Ukrainian military? And really, what are their capabilities when it comes to defending themselves against Russia?
Well, you know, as we reported in recent days, Ukraine's air defenses were really substandard, and they had been begging for years for the West to sell them more sophisticated air defenses, and that didn't happen. And we're seeing the result of that. I mean, it's hard to know exactly what's happening on the ground, but a lot of reports coming in that Ukrainian air defenses have been decimated, and the Russians are sort of operating at will and destroying command and control nodes. You know, it's surprising the things that haven't been done, some things that were predicted. Electronic warfare, jamming of all communications, for example, hasn't happened. There have been some cyber attacks, but not the kind of massive cyber shutdown of the internet that might have been predicted. But it's possible the Russians haven't needed to do that in order to take control of the military situation. Their goal seems to be to destroy the Ukrainian military and move to take control of the country.
All right, NBC's Ken Delaney for us there. Ken, thank you.
Joining us now is Nina Khrushcheva. She is a professor of international affairs at the New School. She's also the great-granddaughter of former Soviet Premier Nikita Khrushchev. Nina, we appreciate you joining us today. What do you think is going on right now at the Kremlin? How's Putin watching all this unfold?
Well, I've been so wrong because I absolutely did not see it coming at all. I thought that the least he would do is to recognize the breakaway republics, Donetsk and Luhansk, and just stop there, make his PowerPoint, move the troops here and there, then make his PowerPoint, and then bring everybody to continue with the Minsk agreement conversation. So what's happening right now is barbaric and is a complete shock to me. I spent a lot of time in Kiev. Nikita Khrushchev was the first secretary of the Communist Party in Ukraine for much of his career. And therefore, it's inconceivable what's going on because it's against...
All right, we're going to mute that for a little bit. They're not talking necessarily about the financial markets right now. We'll continue to kind of monitor this. I am going to try to bring in some different voices. I think it's important to get different perspectives. I've put this out into my Discord, Patreon. So anybody in my Patreon Discord, you will see a message if you want to come on the stream and join us. I think it's important that we have these discussions. So I'm going to bring on Kokoro. Kokoro, I believe you're from the Discord. How you doing?
Hello, sir. Good morning.
Good morning. So what are your thoughts right now on all the goings on? What are you doing personally with your investments?
Well, I'm buying some secure layer one tokens, and hopefully the new investors or other investors are going to come into the cryptos running from fiat, from all the trouble.
That's an interesting perspective. We were just kind of reading about that too, and how this could maybe in the short term be not so good for cryptocurrencies, but in the long term could provide, a lot more people to come into Bitcoin and Ethereum. Do you think that paves the way for new investors?
Oh yeah, dollar cost averaging. Since I started in last year, I bought high, but right now I'm doing very, very good buys long term.
Very good, man. So what are your top holdings?
ADA, XRP, Phantom, and some Inus.
Okay, very nice. Yeah, this is obviously super unfortunate situation watching this unfold. But from an investor standpoint, a lot of people, kind of running away and hiding. I think this could be an opportunity, especially for new investors. And if you've been waiting on the sidelines and you're just learning about cryptocurrency, what better time to jump into Bitcoin at these prices, right? At 35.6 right now, Ethereum down here at 2,400. Even XRP, as you just mentioned, look at this, down to 64 cents. I mean, that's a great buy there on XRP. Cardano down here at 81 cents. A lot of opportunities out there in this market amid the goings on right now. So Kokoro, thank you so much for tuning in. Do you got anything else you want to add?
No, that's it, Zach. Thanks a lot for all your work.
Okay, awesome, man. Appreciate you too.
Okay, bye.
Bye. All right, so I did drop that into the stream, in the StreamYard link actually into Discord. So if anybody wants to come on here and pop on and give their thoughts about what's going on with the crypto markets. And you know what? I'll make it public too. What the heck? You know what? I'll send a StreamYard link. This might get a little crazy, but who cares, right? Let's see here. Let's see if we can get anybody else to come in here. So basically, I'm going to copy this to clipboard. I'm going to send a tweet out, and we'll see if anybody joins us. Let's see. I'd love to get some different voices on here. Come on and join us on the live stream. Share your thoughts about the markets right now and what you are doing. Link down below. There we go. All right, let's see what happens. There's the StreamYard link, and anybody else can come on in now. This is made public, so come on over and join us, and let's continue to kind of monitor the situation here, what's going on. We'll continue to watch the news a little bit as well, and kind of keep up to speed. Appreciate you, Raul. When do you guys think I should buy? Raja, you can always dollar cost average on the way down, right? So instead of trying to time the market once, you could have been buying last night a little bit, buying a little bit this morning, because it's so hard to time it and time it up perfectly one time, right? So hard to do that. But if you can time it, gradually, or if you could just buy it gradually on the way down, you don't have to be right. You don't have to pick the perfect spot, right? So I would say dollar cost average on the way down is the best way to do it. So let's just say you have like $1,000 on the sideline, and instead of throwing that $1,000 all in last night, knowing that it still could go lower, you throw 300 in last night. Then this morning it's around the same, and you're kind of just waiting. You're navigating the waters. If it dips a little bit lower, throw another 300 at it, right? Now you're dollar cost averaging on the way down. So Nick J, what's happening, man? I know you're always on the streams. Appreciate you tuning in, brother. What do you got?
Yeah, what's up, Zach? Hey, man, safe travels. I know you were in that traffic yesterday. Love the hat, by the way.
Appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, but yeah, just going back to that crypto winter. I love the video because I've never been through one. I've been in crypto about a year now, along with a lot of people probably in the chat, and yeah, it's kind of getting used to it. But yeah, I definitely love to see a 3 to 6 month kind of cycle. I think it'd be a lot easier to pick up, rebound some of the losses and stuff like that.
Yeah, 100%, man. And it's tough to know exactly how it's going to play out, right? But I think if you look back at the crypto winters and you look back and why those things happened, there was essentially no new money coming in. There was no retail money. I mean, now you've got this influx of retail money, at least over the past 2 years. It's been a little quieter here in 2022. I think we're still waiting for that surge. And of course, obviously, this macroeconomic the things that are going on in that front hinder that. But the retail surge, I mean, what that tells me is, more people are staying invested, more people are buying the dip, more people are staking crypto, right? Whereas before, it was very underground, still underground, but a little less so. So it'll be interesting to watch. I'm not the only one with that opinion. I listen to a lot of people on YouTube as well. Invest Answers. I don't know if you've listened to him or watched his channel. Fantastic insight. He's been saying this for quite a while that we're moving away from the 4-year cycles. Benjamin Cowan, who does some technical analysis, he's also said that we're moving away from 4-year cycles. But it's interesting. It's an interesting thing to unpack. But where are you at right now, man? Are you buying the dip right now, or are you just kind of staying pat?
Yeah, staying pat. I've just staked some of my tokens. Everrise, of course, very bullish on that. Kronos, stake those. Not really buying right now. Just keeping money on the sideline. I think it's still going to dip a little more. And then after that, depending on what ETH gets down to, I might go in a little heavier on that. Because ETH is going to be taken off once 2.0 hits, whenever that is. But yeah, man, thanks for having me on. I'll get out here, let some other people on. Keep up the good work, bro.
Thanks, Nick. Appreciate you, brother. Let's bring in Mike from New Jersey. Mike, what's happening, man? How you feeling?
Hey, what's up, man? What's going on?
Oh, not too much, man. Just trying to keep up with what's going on in the market right now. And wow, it's a shit show to say the least, man. But better days ahead. And yeah,
I actually have to say I watch you and Austin. You guys are great, phenomenal. Especially for me, I came in the crypto market because of the meme coin, the Doji coin, the SHIB. And I bought in at 7, and you realize through 1 year, it's a patience game.
Yeah.
And I think that if you have a lot of patience, you'll win. And I think if that's the goal, then that's the best goal that you can do. I mean, if you don't have patience, I guess I would suggest not to play yet, because crypto is new. So when you have those kind of situations, you have to see how are you going to make money. And I think being patient, buying dips, like I started at 7, I'm all the way down when it came down to 1.9. I put 35,000. I'm almost at 1 billion shares. And that's where I have to stay. I can't take this loss. But mind you, if you wait, it's going to pop one more time, and then you could take half positions. Remember, it's all strategy and gameplay, just like any war, but winning for yourself as well. I think it's a lot of new things are going on. People are still trying to accept this role. We already know it's not going nowhere, so I kind of removed that from my mind. So in that sense, if I'm playing that game, I remove it from my mind, stay by strategy. And with guys like you who support us, even with the mental state, saying, hey, guys, hold on, don't sell. That is so encouraging. I even wanted to start up my own just encouragement. You know, everybody has a part and role, like meaning they have Discords. That's fine. I'm a big speaker, meaning that at times like this, hey, guys, don't sell. Hold it on for the long run. And I think in certain elements, everybody helps. And realize that everybody helps more when they work together than against the whole odds, because I realize that's the problem with just the world. If we got the SHIB game like that, which we do, but if everybody was just like, yo, we're on board, and remember, that's the goal. So I would say that crypto's new, learn it. It is going to be the wave. Remember, I'm 40. And I only stepped in because I saw a kid who made $1 million. And I was like, yo, if he's doing it, I can do it. And that's how I came upon it. But for all the people listening, just got to stay together. You know, I know money and tough, but for the long run, it will benefit. I don't think it might, it will. Anything that you wait on, you just benefit. You know, Zach?
Dude, I love it, Mike. I really appreciate the call in, man. And you're 100% right. You know, look at what we saw with SHIB just last year, right? I mean, look at crypto just in 2021. There were so many ebbs and flows, right? I mean, there were weeks and months where crypto winter is here and all hell is going to break loose. And then there were months that were setting all-time highs and we're going to the moon, right? And that's all in one year. And I think that speaks to your patience note there. I think it speaks to playing the long game, right? As you mentioned there, things change very rapidly as well in this crypto space. So, you know, I think another thing I've seen with new investors, and, you know, I do this sometimes too. Sometimes you feel like you've got it all figured out a little bit, right? And then that's when you get hit upside the head with something you weren't expecting. So I think being on your toes, being willing to adapt and change in these crypto markets is going to be really crucial too, man. But I think you hit on a ton of great points out there for new investors, man.
I also want to say this too. I mean, you look at your own training, you always want to go back to all-time highs. So when I look at all-time highs, I go back to reference history. So I'll look at Crow. You're looking at a low price right now. Obviously, it's going to go back up, and you're going to double. You played a doubles game. You get 10 doubles to $1 million. You start with 1,000. 1,000 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 8, and you keep going, and it's a doublings game. Mind you, not saying that you can't make money. You can make $1 million, but on the aspect that if you, like I said, if you hodl, great strategy. There's so many strategies. I just really can't aim it on one, right? And even still, can you coexist all of them? That's what I did. I said, well, why don't I just work it out when I do a little of everything, right? Yeah. Why do I have to be one strategy? And still, you know, they still go down, buy the dip. So when it's high, and you know, you don't have to kill the market and rug pull it, but go to accordance to yourself, as well as. And I do this now for a living. I was a chef for 23 years. I gave up my career. I was cooking for celebrities, and I realized, why am I working 100 hours a week? Remember, chefs work 90 hours a week. Why am I going to work 90 hours a week when I can still pay myself? You make a good amount, pay yourself 6 years, or pay yourself 2 years. Or pay yourself 1 year. That's 365 days of freeness of doing whatever you want to do. And I suggest this to people because the window for cryptocurrency is a big window. It's for all players. Mind you, all players don't win, but they're all for all types. Like the stock market, it's for many players. I don't think it's for everybody. But crypto is evolving where you're allowing anybody to walk in this game and make it in a healthy manner. And I think if that's the goal, man, I believe everybody could do it, because if we do that, we could actually apply that to what we want to do. Discords, motivational speeches. You guys all do that. You guys inspired me. I'm from New Jersey. I don't know where you guys are from. I watch you every day. But honestly, it's not, there's certain people that you look at and certain people you don't look at, but you still want to give ear, because out of one sentence, that might change your whole perception. That's why I say it's okay to listen to somebody who's not well, but they'll bring something to the table. You don't take everything. Mind you, this game is not taking everything. It's literally disposing what is necessary and what is not necessary. And mind you, when I do my own not Discord, my own chat, I am going to represent you guys. You guys are great. You guys always informative. You guys never not fail. You guys always show up every day. I mean, some people don't even want to come to work anymore. So for when I see you guys come in all the time, this is more for you, because you guys are great. You inspired me. You probably inspire more people. And I tell people, if anybody's listening and you want to do it, do it. Do it. Because you know what? When you give good knowledge, people listen. And people will figure out. You will always have haters. I mean, that's just a common thing. I live in New Jersey. Everybody's a hater. So, I mean, when you feel not bothered, you'll just talk to anybody. And realizing that the crypto space, remember, I came from a poor family. And I tell people, dude, did you know poor people can make money? But as long that you can stay humble, as long that you're not buying, I get it, the Ferraris, the Lamborghinis, those are great. You know, the oil changes are like crazy. I tell people, did you even look at the oil change? We're talking simplicity here. And I love speaking. And I tell people, this is what I do for a living. I gave up my career. I really put hope in this. And you know what? At 1 billion shares, you know what? I have to wait, because at 1 billion shares, whether it's a year or two, if it hits 1 cent, I'm happy. And mind you, I'll be making more and being like you guys inspire me. So between you and Austin, that I, greatly, I mean, Austin's not here, but the guy I always put Mike from New Jersey. Hey, thank you. Because crypto's everywhere, and you're starting to realize that everybody knows the name now. You would think that it was like religious. And now that you're coming into this space, you realize, man, everybody's here, and we're so early. We came to the party early. How'd you get here? I went to the front seat when nobody was there, and that's how it started. You just went to the party early, right? And then you realize 2 years later, you're like, everybody's asking you, how'd you get here? Dude, I just went early, dude. And I just waited, and I didn't have any kind of impatience to walk out. And that's the game. It's to diamond hand it.
You're spitting facts, man. I absolutely love it. I just want to speak to your point. And Rodney just joined us too. What's up, man?
What's up, guys?
So we're actually talking about like early adoption, right? So we're about 4%, Mike, to your point, okay? And this is Diffusion of Innovations model. Everett Rogers put this together for all new technologies. This is usually the bell curve that happens, okay? This fluctuates a little bit, but this first 2.5% is innovators, right? We're just past that. So we are like right here on this chart. We are essentially right here at the front end of early adopters. That means the big wave is coming over here. Another big wave is coming over here. So to Mike's point, on days like this where it's red, and I mean, this is as bad as it can get from a day-to-day perspective, right? You got to zoom out and you got to look at this holistically and say, okay, where are we going to be at 10 years from now? The fact that anybody is invested right here today, you're a winner already. You're winning. Even when you're losing from a day-to-day perspective, if you're invested in cryptocurrency today into blue chip assets and you're having some fun with that 15 to 20% in some e-news and bringing that back into Bitcoin and Ethereum, you're going to win. You're going to win. Mike, I want to keep you on for a bit, but Rodney, just your thoughts on kind of what's going on, man, right now with crypto and where you're at.
Hey, what's up, guys? Yeah, man, crazy times going on. What's up, Mike?
What's up, bud?
So yeah, absolutely pretty insane what's going on right now. I mean, I feel like there's something like this every year where it really just it drives the price down for some reason. Of course, this is more serious than others. And I'm actually supposed to be in Poland on a deployment, but I tore my ACL, so I'm here. So I'm just really, really thinking about my brothers over there, thinking about, praying for the people in Ukraine, because, I mean, this could be kind of the start of something huge, depending on how the U.S. wants to move forward. But for cryptocurrency, I mean, this is why we always talk about keeping capital on the side for times like these, because even if there is a huge crypto winter like we had a few years ago, right, where nothing really happened for a few years, at least it's a time where it's a point for you guys to accumulate your favorite projects, right? Because nothing fundamentally about crypto, I think, in my opinion, is wrong. It's just the state, the world we're in right now, things going on. And so, like Zach said, invest into those Shiba Inu products and those sorts of things. But man, we're so early. That's why it's so important to have capital on the side to pick up your favorite projects, because man, everything is down. And to me, I see it freaking, just a big shopping spree, a discount, So we're so early, like you said on the little chart. I think only like 3% of the population's in crypto right now. Just be happy you're here, and buy the dip.
100%, man.
I totally agree. I totally agree with that.
Yeah. So who knows what's going to happen? What's up?
I did want to talk to you about kind of like the geopolitical thing and the kind of from a macro perspective, because you do have that knowledge. How do you think this is going to play out? I mean, Biden is supposed to come down with some sanctions. He was also supposed to talk about crypto this week. I don't think that's happening. I think that's going to be pushed to the side, if I had to guess. But what do you think is going to be the next move here?
So here's the biggest issue. And of course, I'm an American soldier. I'm a U.S. soldier. But at the same time, you got to think of it from Russia's point of view. So what's happening right now is that NATO wanted to bring Ukraine in, right? We want Ukraine part of NATO. It's not currently part of NATO. So any aggression towards NATO, towards Ukraine, it's not really our business right now. I suppose from a world kind of stage, from the outside looking in, it's kind of sad what's going on. But there's been a lot of conflict in that region. So Russia sees the fact that we want to make Ukraine part of NATO as an act of aggression. Like, no, we're going to get in there. They think that it's their land, right? Ukraine and Russia have a crazy deep history. So I don't know what Biden's going to do. I think it's going to be sanctions. I think that if we get involved anyway, when it comes to boots on ground, air support, whatever, this could be a start of something really, really big. But I don't see it. I don't see that happening. I think we're just going to hit them with sanctions. We're going to let whatever happened there play out. And just hopefully a lot of innocent people don't lose their lives because of this. So,
agreed, 100%. Yeah. Anybody else who wants to join in here? We've got this tweet out here. This is my most recent tweet. So if you just want to come over and jump on with us, be happy to bring you on and see what's going on here. So I'm trying to bring Austin Jones in. Austin, your device isn't connected, man. If you want to turn your camera on there, and I can bring you in. Mike, do you have something?
Yeah, I actually want to just add. I look at current events as well as and he's so much right about the problem that we do have on that side. And right now we know that people are dying. We already have a number, a low number, which is probably just a low number, which is probably higher. Let's just be honest right now. I think honesty. Once we develop the honesty, there's trust. I think that they are going to put it in play. They're already putting it in play now. Obviously, at 12:30 they have a meeting where there's going to be another acknowledgement about the situation, because they have to aware people in the United States. I get it. I also heard the other gentleman saying that there is going to be I could also see it as well as people transitioning to crypto as well, 50-50. Let's do maybe 30-70. Let's give 30% to crypto. So people need to put money somewhere, because obviously if you're just carrying it with you, it's not suggestible. I mean, a lot of these interviews they're doing overseas, when I do research, through other kind of universal news globally, they're just leaving. They're at the lines at the bank now, taking the money. Mind you, these are the old comers, meaning that they're not wired to the internet where they can just transfer. I'm like, why are they going to the bank? Why don't they just wire transfer? You realize, look at the line, they're older people. Those people need to be knowledge. Where are they going to put the money? They're going to put it in a chest. Usually older crowd, they hide it in the house. Mind you, that's lack of knowledge. That's another generation. That's another topic. But mind you, if somebody said, well, you know what? I could imagine this. I know they're not going to mention crypto, but I could imagine. I wouldn't be surprised if they said, hey, why don't you just invest it in crypto? Mind you, it's low now. You have the big whales buying in. They're long term. They're not going anywhere. I don't look at them like that. I just look at them for security. Yeah, I really doubt there anybody's going to rug pull this low on a lot of these, and especially at this rate. Mind you, these are just speculation, not financial advice, but you have to go through every perimeter. I study science, so you have to have variance for every problem. How am I going to destroy this? And you realize that when you think like that, you identify the enemy, identify the holes, the potholes, your success will be granted. And I think, and that's the same thing for you if you're in the military and you realize that if you grant those certain elements of surprise, the walk is a lot easier. You know, and I think that these people don't know what to do with the money. They're going to get it out of the bank, and then what? If they really don't, you know, what are you going to do? You're going to get it out of the bank, and then what? I mean, they're at the bank to take their money. Where are they going to put it? So you also have that. That's maybe 5%, but 5% in the crypto is a lot. I'll take that for it. I'll take 5% of the people who don't know what to do with the money. I started looking at the things that people don't have. I started doing the opposite, actually. When you told me not to invest, I did. And it seems like that's the wave. And if you go by that wave sometimes, it works out less when you're a little like watching it all day. And that's my suggestion on just a variety of ways to make money, because there's so many ways to make money, and they only show you the way to make $1 million. But mind you, when you accumulate pennies, dollars, thousands, they become millions too. So, and that's my retrospect. And hopefully for everybody who's invested in crypto, you know, that they just wait. It's just waiting. Still have your regular job. That's all you're doing is just waiting and having a regular job that you might hate for 2 years and that you'll love the rest of your life. And that's my thoughts.
I love it, man. And I think you're spot on. We're going to bring in Bradley here in a minute too. I think you're spot on with, you know, we've always heard that Bitcoin is a hedge against inflation. Well, I think this really puts that to the test, right? Because inflation's here. It's going to get worse, in my opinion. And we'll have to see. We'll have to see if people really believe in Bitcoin that much around the world. I mean, it could be a global phenomenon given where we're at in our world as it relates to inflation. So, Bradley, what's happening, man? What do you got?
How's it going, Zach?
Good, brother. Where are you at right now with what's going on?
Yeah, I was watching the news and someone brought up a point that I don't think a lot of people are talking about, because I've noticed with wars and stuff like that, a lot of that, you know, like in Afghanistan and stuff like that, you know, it's a lot about fight over oil, and the Russians pay Ukraine $1 billion a year to run one of their pipelines through their country. You know, there could be a lot of, you know, he wants to control that, you know, that's $1 billion a year he's saving if he can control that part of the world.
No doubt, man. Sorry, I was taking a sip of coffee. Are you doing anything in terms of buying, or what are you doing in terms of crypto?
Well, I've been in crypto since November. Kind of been, you know, when everything got all high, I've been buying the dips on the way down. You know, learning this, you know, industry, like the other guy was saying about, you know, having some cash on the side. I've kind of gotten to where I'm dollar cost averaging in on some stuff, like $5 a day and stuff like that here and there. But I kind of ran out of a bank there. But, you know, I'm learning it, you know, over the next few years and stuff, start stockpiling some money for the side for things like this that happen. You know, I'm, you know, about 50% down in my portfolio right now. So I'm just, you know, my coin count isn't going down, just the prices. So when everything comes back up, I'll be in a better position to be able to start moving things around and getting things going.
100%, man. I don't know if you use Coinbase, but one thing I really like with what they do, you can automatically invest every day, every week. Dollar cost average, as you said. That's really a great way to do it too, because you don't have to be so active every single day, and you don't have to try to be right all the time and time the market. Which, you know what they say, it's about time in the market, not timing the market. And so I think you got a good philosophy there, man. Rodney, you got something to add?
Yeah, most definitely. I think that it's really important, just whatever your 2-week job is just to take a percentage of that paycheck and just keep investing it into whatever products you're into. And that's why I do like Coinbase. I don't like, however, every 10 minutes it's like, hey, Bitcoin's up 5%. I have to change those notifications, but that's pretty annoying, because, you know, days like today, it's like everything's down 5%, especially anything in my portfolio. But yeah, guys, it's not about like really timing the market. And I know it's different when we're trading for e-news and those sorts of things. But when you have like an actual serious portfolio, a Coinbase account, a Binance account, take a percentage of your paycheck, and invest that regardless of what is happening every 2 weeks. And I think that with that kind of strategy, you come out on top.
100%. And in terms of like allocation, in terms of like blue chips versus, you know, small caps, do you have a philosophy on that front? Any of you guys, really, anybody who wants to answer that?
Well, I saw real quick, like with the small caps, I was looking at my stuff because everything's been going so red. And actually, like I have Bolt and Apollo, and they're actually doing, you know, they're holding the line pretty well. And I think because of the small cap and how many, you know, not a lot of holders in it, most of the people that are in those are, you know, diamond hand holders. So they could care less that the market's down right now. They have no plan on selling that because they just got into it. So a lot of my small cap coins are holding the line pretty well.
That's a good point.
Yeah, yes, they're so explosive. So with the smaller cap coins, and some of them are not really smaller cap, right? Let's be honest. I would say blue chip. To me, they're very experimental. A lot of them still have a lot to prove, and a lot of them are only, you know, doing well because of the community around them, and you know that can really break apart pretty quick. It depends, right? So when it comes to a strategy, I think maybe 20% to 15%, it's really just gambling. And when you hit it big, which you will on some of these smaller cap community tokens, take that, diversify, and keep the same process, right? Like for example, the other day, I was in Saitanobi, made a good amount of Saitanobi. I took some money out of Saitanobi, put it in some of the blue chips, put more into more speculative plays, and we'll see what happens, you know, but that's kind of my strategy.
I like it. So wait, let's see what's going on here with anything that they're talking about. Oh, they're actually talking about the markets here. Let's listen in.
401k, some sort of portfolio, and you see the Dow down 620. What do? You sit tight. This is today. We're not worried about long-term concerns at this point. This is based on this attack today. So this is not a day to be making major moves. This is not a day to be selling your stocks. This is a day to sit tight and hope that they bounce back. And maybe on the flip side, even be thinking about, well, wow, this market that has done so well for so long, is it slightly more affordable? And might I want to jump in a little bit more, buy a little bit more in the days ahead? But today is a day to just sit and wait.
Allison, I want to zero in on oil prices if we can. And I know that typically when we talk about oil in a business setting, we're talking about crude oil futures.
Right.
But we also have to think about gas prices and how high they might go and when we might see them really go up.
Right. When we've been talking about Brent crude topping 100, we're talking about April futures, right? So that's not what you're paying this very second. That's not what we're paying for oil this very second. But this affects gas prices, right? So we've seen it. I mean, just on the concerns of the crisis in Russia and Ukraine, we've seen gas prices going up in the last couple of weeks. So if you're thinking, well, I haven't paid more at the pump yet, you probably will in the days and weeks to come. It doesn't always have to be because oil prices are up. Sometimes these concerns, the gas stations just raise prices a little bit anyway because they're worried about what they're going to be paying down the line. So big picture, don't know at this stage exactly where gas prices are going to go, but I can pretty much assure you it doesn't look like they're going to get any cheaper anytime soon.
And what about interest rates? The Fed was expected to raise interest rates next month. We know. How might this affect their plans with that?
So it doesn't look like they won't raise interest rates. Just to put in perspective for people, when the Fed sees concerns, right, big risk to either our economy or the global economy, they don't want to make moves raising interest rates that could put us into a recession. It does not appear that we're at that stage right now. So what does that mean? Yes, the Fed is probably still going to raise interest rates in a couple of weeks. This just may put a little more pressure on them not to raise them so high. So maybe a quarter point instead of half a point, but still expected interest rate hike in mid-March.
All right, Allison Morris for us today. Allison, we will see you in a little bit. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Aaron.
Let's go back to Ukraine now, where NBC's Matt Bradley is.
All right, we'll come back to that and talk more when they're addressing the markets. And we do have Biden's supposed to say something around noon, I think, as it relates to sanctions. Noon Eastern, 9 Pacific. But I just want to show you guys this real quick, and I want to be fully transparent. I know, Rodney, you do this quite a bit. You actually gave me this idea. And so I'm going to share one of my portfolios here. And this is just one of my exchange portfolios, just to kind of show you guys that I'm getting crushed too. Okay. All right. So let me pull this over. This is actually a really cool app, Coinly. It's really nice because they can you can put multiple wallets in here. So here you go. This is one of my wallets here. It's down 115,000. Absolutely getting crushed. Here's Ethereum, Bitcoin. But I'm not selling. I'm not getting out. ADA here down at 110. I have been buying the dip on ADA in another wallet. Solana here, getting crushed. Gala Games, barely getting crushed, but getting crushed.
Riggedy
The only
wrecked.
thing, yeah, absolutely wrecked, right? I mean, the only thing I have, and this was from way back down, and I'm barely up in it now, is ETH 2.0 staked. I have one Ethereum staked over here. So there you go. I mean, that's what's going on right now. Down 40% in my portfolio. So we're right there with you. I mean, every step of the way, we're all getting wrecked, but I'm not selling. There's no way I'm panicking. Why would I? These are all ones that I truly believe in. These are blue chip assets. Very, very bullish on them. So, yeah, I just wanted to kind of share that with y'all.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, I'm down pretty bad too. Pretty bad. But you know what? Like I said before, I mean, that's why you got to have some USDT on the side. And although we could go down some more, I just think this is such a great time to buy. I know we're getting wrecked right now. A lot of people in the comments are like, these guys are being happy while we're getting wrecked, but it's part of the game. This happens all the time, every year.
Exactly, man. Exactly. So let me ask you this, Rodney, and Bradley, you can answer this too. What are the 3 assets that you're waiting for to drop a little bit lower so you can jump in on?
I'm really staring at Crow. I do like Crow. Another one that I've been really interested in is BNB. A lot of people don't talk about BNB, but I really do like BNB. Now, I made a video on the top 5 coins you should hodl. I'm looking at Crow. I'm looking at BNB. And I'm looking at Solana. So I think that those are the 3 that I might go the hardest at. But honestly, ETH is looking good too. So from 1 to 3, I'd say Crow, BNB, Solana.
I like it. Bradley, how about you, man?
But I'd be the same, but my only difference would have been ETH. But I do my DCA for Bitcoin and ETH, and every time the Crow dips down, I buy like $1,000 worth of it and just stake it.
I like it. Travis, what's happening, man? He's asking top 3 outside of BTC and ETH, and I might reiterate some of the same ones, but the ones I'm looking at, Cardano. I know a lot of people hate on Cardano, but I still think it's going to be a huge project. I'm looking 10 years down the line. I'm not looking 10 days from now. I'm looking 10 years. I think Cardano, the partnerships they're creating with institutions, universities, all of that will come to fruition, I think, one day. And so I'm looking at Cardano. I'm looking at Solana as well. And I'm also looking Crow Coin. I could throw that in there. But I like Polygon as well. Polygon is one that I wish I would have picked up more of. I started buying Polygon when it was about 77 cents back in early 21. It's been a lot higher than that, but obviously dipping pretty good now, and looking to re-enter maybe into some Polygon as well. I really think Polygon's going to be huge once Ethereum 2.0 rolls out. I do think it'll be used as a layer 2 on top of ETH. I think it's a match made in heaven, so I'm trying to acquire some more Polygon too. Let's see what else we got. Any other comments from the chat? Also, guys, if you guys want to join us, come on over. This is a free link. You can click right in here. You'll come backstage, and I'll let you in if you want to give your thoughts on what's going on with the markets, what's going on in Russia and Ukraine. Happy to bring you on. Roddy, what else do you think?
I had an interesting question. Do you see any of these meme coins not making it through this?
Oh, sure. I mean, yeah, there's going to be a lot of them that don't, but there'll be a lot of them that will too. So it's kind of hard to pick and choose. But, your ones like Shiba Inu and Dogecoin, in my opinion, aren't going anywhere. Those are pretty strong. Classy says he can come on for a minute. Yeah, Classy, we can have you. Classy, just click that public link right in on Twitter, and we'll bring you in, man. Rodney, what do you think though in terms of which e-news, which meme coins will stay, which will go? It's kind of tough, right?
Yeah, so something pretty big happened a couple days ago with SafeMoon and some influencers. So SafeMoon just got not them, but the people promoting them, Jake Paul, Floyd Mayweather, got hit with a class action lawsuit. Now, how serious that is, I don't know, but I think that when it comes to some of these e-news, I think that if they don't have any real use case right off the bat, like something that's going on or something that they're really working on or something that's out, I think that they're going to die. But that doesn't mean they can't be explosive. I'm looking for to be okay because I'm in a lot of like really experimental projects when it comes to DAOs and some nodes and those sorts of things and some products that you can just use to provide liquidity. So I think a lot of those will be okay because I think that DeFi is going to go in that direction, especially DAOs. I think DAOs are great. Which ones? I don't know, but I'm in some of the old tried and true ones. So a lot of these meme coins, if they don't have a real use case right now, they're going to get wrecked. It's only a matter of time because people are going to, these are speculative gamble plays. And if people don't have money, if the market's not looking good, people are going to take less risk. And to me, those are very risky. So things like Saitama are probably going to be okay. Things like Shibnobi are probably going to be okay, but things that are just brand new could get wrecked, in my opinion.
I agree. Austin, what's happening, man?
Nothing, man. I got your message there, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna hop on. I was out doing some errands, man. But what a wild ride this has been the last 8 hours, 12 hours.
Yeah, man. I'm actually going to take off, guys. I'm going to go ahead and do my Coffee and Crypto on my channel, but thank you so much for having me, Zach.
Yep, no problem, brother. Let's do it again.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you. All right.
Hey, Zach, do you have your Vault in Coinbase wallet?
I don't, man. I have it in Uniswap.
Yeah, I still have mine in Coinbase wallet. It still shows I'm a billionaire.
Hey, that's not bad. That's not bad at all.
It's nice to look at, but it's hard to tell. What is it really? I have to go over to Uniswap and put the max and see what the cash is. So it's a pain in the butt, but it's always fun to see.
That's good, man. Yeah, it's had a nice run, and I think that's another one, to Rodney's point, that probably has withstood the test of time a little bit and could survive this this big hit or bear market or crypto winter or whatever you want to call it. But we're bringing in Classy, we're bringing in Austin. I want to get your guys' just general thoughts on what's going on as it relates to Russia, Ukraine, the markets. Austin, we'll start with you. What are you thinking, man? Like, where's your head at right now as an investor?
As an investor, for me personally, I think, everyone's in their own situation, right? Everyone has their own portfolio that's going on. And for me personally, I think the writing was on the wall with this weeks ago. I mean, this we all planned for this to happen. I mean, you don't stick 100,000 troops on a border and not expect something to happen. So I was obviously putting a lot of my stuff into, stable tokens, stable coins. And, I was preparing for this, to be honest with you. Basically, but like I said, everyone's investments are different. I don't know where people's monies are, like my Ethereum, for instance. I have a lot of Ethereum that I bought at, $1,200. Like, I'm not touching that. It's going to stay in Ethereum. I'll ride this out. But then there's Ethereum that you bought, at like $2,100, so you're going, okay, do I take my little bit of profits and I put them into a stable token or a stable coin and ride it? And so I've done that, and so it's hard to say what everyone else should do, but that's sort of what I did is basically I pulled it and put them into stable, I stabilized myself is what it came down to. However, there are, the smaller tokens like Shibnobi and Saitama and things like that, I sold off my profits with some of those and put it into Ethereum and then transferred it and stuff like that too. So it's hard to say because everyone's different on how they take this approach. This is sort of new to a lot of people. When was the last time we were at war like this?
100%, man. And we're still learning, right? Things are still evolving. We're waiting for Biden to come out and say something related to sanctions and how it's going to affect all of us. Classy, just your thoughts, man, on what's going on right now, what you're doing, what you're thinking.
Yeah, so I think Austin hit on the dot in terms of him going to stablecoins in getting into this war. I didn't necessarily expect Belarus or the others to get into this war, but unfortunately, this is the case. There is that risk of slippage happening with NATO troops getting hurt and then the U.S. having that, entry point. But in terms of cryptocurrency right now, it's kind of like every other situation that's happened before. Whereas we have our little Crimean crisis, we had our Iraq war, we had Afghanistan, all these kinds of wars. We have a really huge correction, which usually follows about a week later once everybody starts to get out of that, extreme fear point. Have a nice recovery. In terms of me, I'm pretty young, so I wasn't unfortunately like Austin. I have held through all of my losses. I have a bunch of Ethereum. I have a bunch of BNB, a lot of these safer coins. Of course, we all have our speculation on where this can go and where the correction has already held. But, fortunately for me, I'm young enough to go ahead and take these losses and be fine. For the people with smaller portfolios, I don't think it's too crazy to say, like, it's okay to hold that ETH, right? Because with stable coins, it's pretty hard to time bottoms. And in terms of 24, I had a buddy reach out to me today, and he was like, do you think ETH can hit 19? And I told him, unless NATO heads into this or some crisis in Taiwan happens, I don't see Ethereum going much lower. But of course, I don't have the market experience necessarily in wars. I have the market experience in crisis, like the pandemic and all the other facets that happened in 2018. But in terms of right now, we don't know. This is something new. We've never had a pandemic. We've never had a bunch of natural gas ties cut. We did kind of have it with Saudi Arabia back then, but that was kind of a bit of a different situation because Saudi Arabia controls 12% of the world's supply. We can kind of just export it elsewhere. But unfortunately for us, we're going to be tanking the natural crude oil prices for quite a bit of time. So in terms of cryptocurrency for me, it's just a holding game and waiting for either A, to plan out, which is the NATO war happening, or B, just crypto recovery happening. And I'd bet that the crypto recovery is more likely than not.
Yeah, that's an interesting perspective, and I want to entertain that here in just a minute. But I also want to give you guys a quick shout out. So if you guys don't follow Awesome Austin and Classy Crypto, they both have YouTube channels. Great content creators. Real quick, if you guys just want to say like what you guys talk about on a day-to-day basis, and definitely head over there and subscribe to their channel.
Hey, Zach, I just want to say thanks for having me, and thanks for bringing me into crypto, and you guys have a great day.
All right, Bradley, take care, man. You bet.
Yeah, so, for me, I jumped into, I've been in cryptocurrency for quite some time. Obviously, I jumped in, I was really big into Doge, into SHIB. I mean, way back when I got into them super early and, wrote it all out, and it's been a great ride. I've been doing YouTube, since, my wife and I have been doing YouTube for quite some time. And
oh, your wife does it?
Yeah, my wife does it. Yeah, she's
awesome.
She's a pretty big YouTuber.
She doesn't just do it; she's killing it.
She's killing it. Oh, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, so we've been doing it for quite some time, and and like I said, cryptocurrency has always been a passion, and I finally sold my business this last year and said, you know what, I'm just gonna talk about things that I like, and I really am involved in YouTube, and I do a lot of these. Like I said, I'm a Deegan at heart. You know what I mean? I think we all sort of are. When you're in these tokens like we are, but I just have fun with it. Honestly, I don't take anything too serious. I know a lot of people think that I am fudding, but if you actually watch the content of the video, it's more just posing questions, and that's really what it comes down to, is just opening up the floor to talk about things. And that's sort of my content. That's sort of what I try to create is just ask the questions, and everyone has their own opinion at the end of the day, and
right,
shouldn't get too upset about that. So
agreed. Classy, go ahead.
Yeah, no, in terms of me, my cryptocurrency story is a bit different. I have been doing day trading stocks since 2018. When I turned 18, I decided to quit a job that made me $35 the hour to get into day trading because I really loved economics and I loved the idea of being self-employed. So that's kind of the avenue that I took. So, of course, I had all that experience coming into cryptocurrency. The real reason I got into crypto, though, was there was this infamous day where my brother got really drunk and he did a 20x leverage on this token called Wave during the gigantic crypto recession of 2021. So he lost like 16K, right? And then I'm like, okay, well, I got to get into this crypto thing because I got to figure out what exactly is happening here. And I don't want to give a bad view on cryptocurrency to my family. So what happens is I'm big on gaming. I'm challenger in League of Legends, top 1%, get a contract for C9. You could go ahead and do the research on that, double feed OP. But anyway, what ended up happening is that when I got into Axie Infinity, the game blew up, gave $700 to my brother for his birthday. That's what ended up happening. And, it went crazy. I started going full-time on cryptocurrency when it went crazy, did breeding, was extremely profitable, made a YouTube channel on Axie Infinity. And then, of course, I lost motivation on Axie Infinity for a bit, came into Classy Crypto. So now I got 2 channels, and it's been a fun ride since then, but mainly just cover news-based catalysts. I cover my opinions regarding all these things and thereafter, right?
Love it, man. Appreciate you guys. Yeah, so make sure you guys go subscribe both their channels. Here's Classy's channel and Awesome Austin right here. Subscribe over there. Great content creators. So shout out to you guys on that front. Real quick, I want to address this, and I want to get your guys' thoughts on this too. And this has come up a lot, especially today, how early we are in crypto. So what we're looking at on screen is the diffusion of innovations model. Everett Rogers put this out many, many years ago. Basically, any new innovation usually follows this kind of bell curve, right? So first people to adopt that new technology are what's called innovators. Then we have the early adopters. So if we're at the 4%, we're basically just past the innovator stage, and we're just somewhere right in here, an early adoption phase of cryptocurrency. And I think this is an important reminder, especially on days like this, right, where things are brutal, right? Let's be honest. But when in doubt, zoom out. And this is, I think, a perfect infographic to kind of look at when we think about that, because we're not even through this early adoption phase, and look what's still to come. Early majority, late majority. And then we've got the laggards who lag behind a little bit on that 16%. But just your thoughts on this model and around that question, Austin, if you want to start.
Yeah, I mean, this is the perfect model to where we're at. I mean, we are super early into this. I think we said that even back in 2012, right? I think we all have our stories of when we heard about Bitcoin and sort of, oh, this is nothing. Talk about early. That was super early. I mean, that was before anyone even heard anything about it. And now, this is starting to become global. And to only be where we're at this 4%, everyone talks about the 4%. And being that we are in this 4%, I mean, it's hard to fathom, and it's hard to even explain that to people. And when you sit at a dinner table and you talk with your parents and they're like, oh yeah, digital currency, and it's hard to explain to them, like, there's still so much potential in this. And the only thing I think, scares a lot of people is the regulation behind it. Right. I mean, like my father, he jumped into cryptocurrency, but my grandpa, he would never, you know what I mean? There's no securities behind it. There's no protection for the investors. And so I think the only way we're going to get these other people involved is for this to become regulated at some point. I know people don't want to hear that, but if we are going to grow as a community, the only way to get these early adopters and this early majority and the late majority is to put some kind of security measures in there. And unfortunately, regulation is probably the only way to allow that to happen. And that's just my personal opinion. Again, we don't know what's going to happen. So
I agree with you, man. But I want to get last piece on this too, and then I'll interject.
Yeah, so Austin, in terms of, how early we are, we have no idea, right? In terms of how far in the innovation model we are. Mass adoption could be 30% of the world population. But anyway, talking on that, I think we are pretty damn early. Of course, I do have my interjections because I am a cryptocurrency-based YouTuber, and I have my reasons to believe that, and that's why I cover the content. But in terms of the innovation that Web3 presents, you think about NFTs, you think about all the utility imposed on them and how they're revolutionizing certain spaces in finance, and in terms of subscription models as well. I think that's something that's slowly getting imposed on it, but as well as the fact that in terms of cryptocurrency right now, it's not worth a lot. I mean, Apple is worth, I think, about 2x the amount of the cryptocurrency market cap right now. So we're still pretty early in terms of that. If we're talking about currencies per se, why would they adopt Ethereum per se instead of something like the ruble? Well, Ethereum is just a lot safer. It's decentralized, and trying to regulate that, first off, it's impossible. You could regulate centralized exchanges, which, of course, I would agree with Austin, is going to happen, guaranteed. They're going to be taxing centralized exchanges. They're going to find some way to find taxes through the blockchain and decentralized exchanges. And I think at some point, we're going to be able to download an application that goes through all of our transactions and does it for us. But until then, it's kind of a gray area, so I'm not really sure where we're going with that. And that just shows you how early we are. We have no regulation in terms of, we are a commodity. I did look it up. Cryptocurrency is a commodity in terms of the US government, but in everything else, we have no idea. So it's until then, this year is probably going to be the key area in terms of recognizing cryptocurrency as an actual asset and recognizing cryptocurrency in terms of regulation as well in the US government.
Real quick on that front, I mean, a ton of great things. But real quick, I definitely want to throw this out there because I know a lot of people could benefit from this. I came across an app called Coinly, and this does exactly what you just explained, Classy. You can actually tie in all of your wallets, and it puts all of your data in one place. So everybody has taxes coming. So your MetaMask, everything can be in one place. It downloads a CSV file for you. Hand that over to your accountant. And you're good to go. So this is what I'm actually using this year. I'm getting wrecked, by the way, in this Coinbase portfolio. So there you go.
We all are.
But yes, you can come over here and you can actually wallets, and you can kind of see how this works. Add wallet exchange, and they have basically everything here. Like every exchange you can possibly imagine is here, and you can download it. Right now, I'm using the free version. I don't know why this isn't loading up for me right now. But tons of exchanges, all different wallets, multiple MetaMasks. You can do it all right here. So Coinly, good resource. So definitely. But man, you hit on a bunch of other good points, and I wanted to kind of come back to that. Regulation. Let's talk about that briefly here, and we'll see what they're talking about over here. Okay, they're on break. Regulation. So one thing I've said is probably the biggest threat, and I want your opinion on this, is stable coins right now. Because why would you keep your money in a savings account when you can earn upwards to 12% on USDC? Do you think that's what comes first? Or I've also heard the other side of it where they're going to come for the big boys, the Bitcoin and Ethereum first. I think they're going to go after those stable coins first, if I had to guess, but I want to get your thoughts. Austin, go ahead.
Oh, I definitely think they're coming after the stable coins. I mean, you can stake on these stable coins, you can hold on these stable coins, and the amount of money you can make off this, off of just staking in general, is, I mean, I don't know why people aren't doing it. Like, you hear everyone say, why keep money in your bank account? You know, and I've always thought like that's such a crazy thing to hear. Like, I always want money in my bank account. Well, until cryptocurrency, and now you know, I have a couple thousand in the bank account, and I have, you know, money scattered across cryptocurrency because the money and the returns on it, the ROIs is it's crazy. You can't get this anywhere else. And then in 2 years from now, it probably won't even be in existence. And so, you know, take advantage of it. And that's how I look at it. Just take advantage of it. Even right now with the stable coins and the market being down, you're still getting your percentages right now. And it's still coming in. You talk about passive income. That's as passive as it gets.
100%. I want to ask you which stable coins you use. Go ahead. Which stable coins do you prefer?
So I'm big into Tether. Obviously, you know, it's USDC. Those are the two big ones that I'm in. You know, the return on Coinbase right now is huge. I mean, I think they might have a liquidity issue. I think that's why they're holding a lot of the funds, and they're asking people to sort of put their money into these, and they're giving the giant APRs on these, is because I don't know if they're having, you know, I don't know if there's something going on behind the doors, but if anyone's realized, I mean, you used to be able to transfer money into it, and then within that day you could transfer it into a wallet, and now it's sometimes 7 days, 10 days before you actually can get your money out of it. So I think they're trying to push you to do that. But in return, you know, I mean, you go into like Algorand, like let's just take Algorand, for instance. I mean, they are giving kickbacks like none other right now. I mean, the amount of money you can get back from just staking your money in Algorand, and I know it's not a stable token, but I mean, just look at the percentages on Coinbase on these things that they use to promote this, and you could like triple your money easily just by staking this thing. It's insane.
Yeah, Algorand's like what? Like, is it 5 or 6% off the top of my head? Something like that?
Yeah, I think it's at 5 or 6%, but it was like, you know, probably 4 months ago, it was like 12, 14% at one point. And yeah, it's varied obviously with the markets and with everything going on, everything changes. But I mean, yeah, these things this is where it's at. I mean, you put $1,000 in here and you can make your money back pretty quickly just holding it in there. So
100%. Classy, thoughts on regulation, stable coins?
Yeah, no, he's right on the stablecoin avenue. I think that's the easiest way to go about it. Of course, centralized banks are going to be making their own digital dollar at some point. In terms of the staking capabilities of Tether, there are the worries in which, you know, Tether has been compounding too fast and they aren't backed one for one by the US dollar. I think that's still an issue that plagues Tether to this day. So
you're right,
that's
Classy.
kind of, yeah, right. That's the issue right here. But of course, we don't know when it's going to fall. We don't know when everything's going to go crazy. We don't know if it ever will. So people are just staking anyway, right?
That's a good point. Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, and I mean, you know, with the staking rewards, like places like crypto.com, it's absolutely crazy what you can unlock. I think it's,
yeah,
you know, you have to have 40,000, I think, into Crow, but then you start unlocking just crazy numbers. I mean, 12% with Bitcoin, 14%,
yeah, 12%.
Just wild. So how long that will last, I don't know, but take advantage of it right now, for sure.
Well, like the other thing too, I mean, like, you know, let's just take 2 months ago. I mean, you know, obviously I'm a big Shiba guy, so I stake my tokens in the Shiba swap and get returns. I mean, I'm just looking at them right now. I mean, look at what the market's done. I mean, Bone is at a 3.5 APY. You know that 2 months ago that was like 600% APY.
Jesus.
You know, like it's insane how this has flipped. But I mean, when I was holding at that time inside there, I was making so much rewards, it's insane. And now, you know, obviously right now you're down to 35%, but hey, 35% APY is still not bad. Like I'm talking like it's bad, but it's not. I'm just saying, look at the gap though. 500% 2 months ago, 38% now. So
Austin, you're bullish as hell on Bone, right?
Oh, dude. Yeah. Leash and Bone. I mean, I was excited, man, when the Shaburs came out on that AMA. I was like, man, count me in on Shaburs right now. I've been waiting for this day to come. I'm going to try to get in on some of those Digi lands here coming up, and we'll see what happens. I mean, it's all going to go out for bid, and we're going to see who gets it, right?
Very cool, man. Let's listen in a little bit here, and hopefully we can bring some more viewers on. Feel free to use the link. It's on my Twitter. Let's listen in and see what they're talking about.
Yeah, go ahead and head out for now.
Priorities, a think tank on military strategy and policy. He's also a columnist on foreign affairs and just wrote an opinion piece for NBC Think. Dan, appreciate you being here. You've written that in the run-up to where we are now, that in essence, the Western alliance had taken the wrong approach with Russia. What's your assessment of where we are now and how we got here?
Yeah, well, where we are now, it's pretty simple. Vladimir Putin is clearly going to launch a large-scale military campaign against the Ukrainian government. And he seems to be, if all indications are accurate, he seems to be aiming to decapitate the government in Kyiv and then perhaps install a pro-Russian proxy government there. The argument I've been making for months, really, since this crisis began, is how did we get here? And I would argue, first and foremost, Putin is to blame for the invasion, no question about it. But NATO enlargement, particularly in the post-Soviet states since 1989, since the fall of the Berlin Wall, contributed to where we are today. And that we need to take a holistic approach to this and you know, try to see the full picture here.
Yeah, you also wrote, quote, "It's a fantasy to think the package of financial sanctions and military assistance on offer to Ukraine will dent Putin's goals here." Walk us through your logic on that.
Right. Well, part of this is because the Russians have they have escalation dominance. Their military is really superior to the Ukrainians. The Ukrainians have been far better at planning operations and launching operations since 2014, since the annexation of Crimea about 8 years ago. The problem is the Russians have just military superiority pretty much on air, land, sea. The Ukrainians at best can slow the Russian advance, but in terms of a conventional fight, they don't have a chance of winning per se. That's why really the most pro-Ukrainian position here was to prevent a war from happening. And to do that, you needed to get creative with diplomacy. And that likely means taking the NATO option off the table for Ukraine, which is not going to happen realistically, if we're going to be completely honest.
So we are where we are now. What kind of action can President Biden and the NATO allies take that will actually have an impact going forward?
Right. Well, the administration so far has been settling on a deterrence by punishment approach, basically communicating to Vladimir Putin that if you go into Ukraine, the Russian economy is going to be hit hard. The banking system is going to be hit hard, and Russian troops are going to possibly be bogged down on the ground. That's clearly not deterring Vladimir Putin. He has a goal here in Ukraine, and that's to ensure that a neighboring state doesn't get too cozy with the West, and in particular NATO. Diplomacy is still an option here, and I would argue diplomacy is even more important once a war begins. That's how you end it, through diplomacy. And the best way to end it is to take the NATO option off the table. It's a common sense, very low cost approach to ending a conflict that could kill a lot of Ukrainians and possibly a lot of Russians.
All right, so Biden expected to speak in about an hour from now, 12:30 p.m. So we'll see what comes down to that. Gary has joined us. Infinite Money Coin has joined us too. Let's bring both of you guys in. Gary, what's happening, man? How you feeling?
I'm feeling all right. How you guys doing?
Good, man. So what are your thoughts on the market right now? What kind of moves are you making?
I'm just holding right now because everything's kind of down. I'm down like 50%.
I hear you, brother. Yeah, same here. I think everybody's feeling the pain a little bit. How about Infinite Money Coin? What's happening, man?
What's up? Can you hear me?
Yep, loud and clear.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Yeah, man. So yeah, I was just looking at the best assets that were performing the best throughout 2021 and stuff like that. I'm 31, so I've been through the recession, Iraq war, all that stuff. So eventually it will go away. Just you don't know when. Like you guys were talking about buying Ethereum, BNB, Crow, Solana. There's other ones. What's that one? Stuff like that. For the little small cap coins, I'm looking at the play to earn gaming, because what if everybody has to stay home and there's war and you still got to make money somehow, but you can't go outside? So Klekai, play to earn, stuff like that, the Decentraland, things that have to be tied with NFTs, stuff like that. Because as you guys seen, the NFTs were performing pretty good when everything was down the last time. So stuff like that. I'm just doing a little analysis of a lot of things.
That's a really good point. Metaverse plays, more like stay-at-home plays, gaming plays, which are already getting big, but could be much bigger if something like this were to get worse. Austin, do you have any thoughts on that? Metaverse plays right now, play to earn plays, or are you looking there more so maybe right now?
Me personally, no. Like I said, I think everyone's portfolio is different, right? I mean, we all sort of have our own, look at this, and we all protect our assets in a different way. And so it's hard to, everyone's going to have their own feelings on it. And, personally for me, I would rather, we're all trying to time that bottom, right? When's the bottom so we can buy in? I would rather miss that bottom and just buy a little bit by holding in a stable token to be able to buy back in on the dip, because again, that's just my own personal feel with this whole thing. And, not saying to not go buy Metaverse and stuff like that. If, everyone has their own money to spend, just me personally, I'm sitting on the sidelines until we have, at least for the next 72 hours, until we maybe have a better idea where this whole thing plays out.
I think that's a good point. I mean,
Inu, bro.
Nice, brother. There you go, man.
The Wolf of Wall Street with the wolf.
That's awesome. That's good stuff right there. I like that.
It's a great shirt. Are those for sale? Where'd you get that?
I just bought it a long time ago when I first got into Shiba.
Okay. Right on, man. I love it. Yeah, so one thing I did last night, I did move some things into stable coins, but I'm with you, Austin. Right now, I'm just kind of wait and see approach. I have more in stable coins. I've been slowly doing this over the past couple months because the market has been so choppy. I've been slowly kind of taking some profits, anything I've been up in and getting it into stable coins. Obviously, I didn't think this would happen today, but prepare for the worst. And I think that's what a lot of people are probably doing right now, keeping money on the sidelines. Gary, how about you on that front? Are you buying anything right now? Or are you kind of just staying pat?
I'm just kind of staying put right now. I had a question for Austin.
Sure. What's up, man?
You were saying you were really diversified in the crypto space. Are you invested in the stock market as per for companies, or did you just go all crypto?
So last 2 years I was heavily invested in the stock market, and Tesla, Apple, all these big, during the pandemic, the stock market was the place to be. I mean, that bounce back in the stock market was where money was to be made. And we all made, I mean, if you bought in on the stock market, you made money. However, when I sort of retired from my day job, I sold our business, all that kind of stuff. I'm 100% into cryptocurrency now. I have zero. I literally pulled out my 401ks, and I even took the penalties on my 401ks, knowing what I could make in crypto. And I wasn't wrong about it, just to be honest with you. I mean, I'll take that tax hit.
When I heard you comment on that, I was like, because I kind of did the same thing. I was really heavy just in the stock market, and I didn't know anything about crypto. And my train of thought, or my teachings from what I was hearing once I jumped into the stock market was stay away from Bitcoin. Bitcoin's bad. And when you say Bitcoin, that includes all crypto, And so I never dabbled in it until late. And now I feel like the opposite is true. Like the market is so manipulated that I'm thinking about getting rid of my assets in the stock market and just converting them to some type of crypto where I can make better gains.
Yeah, like I said, I'm really big into the staking, and not a lot of people, when you're sort of new to crypto, you don't really know how the staking works sometimes, right? And when I first got into crypto, I was like, I don't even know what staking is. It probably took me 6 months before I even realized what staking was. And then, like I said, when it comes to the stock market, like you got this slow rise, and sometimes you might have better days than others. But like I said, I mean, I took my 401k, put it into stable tokens, stable coins, whatever I wanted to buy. And then I've staked those. And like I've said, I mean, I've quadrupled what my 401k was within a year. And again, and I'm not saying to go do that. I'm not telling anyone to like go take your 401k out today and like start putting it into tokens. I'm just saying that was a play that I made because again, we're all in this to make money at the end of the day. And when you start to see the writing on the wall that there's money to be made in cryptocurrency, if you play your cards right and you do the simple things like staking and not jumping into these crazy these meme tokens and, putting like tons of money into there, you'll make your money out on the back end pretty quickly. And I think a lot of people have experienced that. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people that jump right into these moonbag tokens and they get hurt. And that's the unfortunate part. That's what we got to avoid in this space.
Right. Okay, cool. Thanks.
Hopefully I answered your question there, man.
Oh, yeah. You did.
Bro, I just started staking on this on these coins. They give 110% back for yearly with Revomon. It says play to earn NFT Pokemon. Like they did a Pokemon Go game on the VR headset, and then they didn't want to do the same thing as Pokemon, so they did their own thing with crypto and blockchain. And even Pokemon said that they were not going to sue them because they're just like, oh, we're just going to let third party do what they want to do. So they're not going to have any legal battles or anything like that. But like you can get in these pools where you get 110% back APY. You can farm. You can burn. Like if you catch these rare Revomon on the game, you could burn them. You get like $100 each time you burn them of their coins. So you catch them in the game. You burn it real quick, and then they just like send you the $100 worth of Rev token. So that's what I'm doing right now. Yeah. Thank you.
I was reading one of your comments there, Robin Harris. I think he says we're talking politics now. Go every token's on sale. Let's go shopping now. And there's people out there that are willing to do that, that are willing to go buy these. And I think that they should, if you have the money and you want to do it. I don't think anyone's saying not to. I just take more a conservative approach when it comes to what we're in right now. But I agree. If you have the money and you want to still go buy right now, go buy, if that's the course that you want to take, for sure, dude.
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes back to your individual, portfolio, where it's at, how much money you have on the sidelines to interject into the market. But I think what we were saying, I think Rodney was saying this earlier too, you can always dollar cost average on the way down because we really don't know where the bleeding stops right now. We just don't. And anybody who thinks they do, they don't have a crystal ball. We really don't know. So that's what I would be doing personally. If I had, let's say, $1,000 on the sidelines that I wanted to get in the market, last night when all the news comes out, we dipped 10%. Maybe I throw $200 into whatever that asset is, right? Now I wait. And then today it's back up a little bit maybe, right? Okay, then tomorrow it dips further. There's another 200 to interject in the market. That's how I would play it right now. But Austin, I want to come back to you and talk about staking real quick, man. So I think this would be really, really good for people to hear. In terms of your overall portfolio, how much of it is dedicated towards staking? And then how much do you have like liquid in the market at any given time?
Well, are you going to count being vested in stable coins as staking then? Or are we just strictly on a platform staking token?
That's a good point. Actually, we'll keep that with staking because it's really kind of one and the same. So I guess, keep that with staking. What's that percentage look like? Just a rough estimate. I think that would help people kind of get an idea of how your portfolio is built and give them an idea,
Yeah. So right now, as of, like I said, this whole week, I've worked my way up into this, right? Even last night I was putting tokens into my stable coins. And like I said, I was a big holder in Shiba, and a lot of my Shiba is staked on their platform right now. So right now I'm sitting about probably 80% of my portfolio is staked.
Gotcha.
Yeah, whether that's in a stable coin or on a staking platform. And the other 20%'s like the Saitamas, right? The ones that are just, where you're probably, I actually sold my Saitama last night. I'm still have a little bit of it, but I did end up selling all my Saitama last night, and I sold half my Shinja last night. And I'm just being for real with everyone here. But I'd say that the 20%'s into like just those other things that I dink around in and stuff like that. So
And I think what people forget too, I mean, and Austin, correct me if I'm wrong here, like that doesn't mean you're out of Saitama and you're done with them forever. Like you'll interject that money back into Saitama when the time is right.
Oh, for sure. And that's the thing is I still see. I was one of the guys that actually dumped a lot of my Saitama into the Sata mask right when it came out, and so when that whole thing sort of froze up, you know, a lot of that stayed on there, and I just didn't want to convert it into a MetaMask and put my seed phrase in, so I just sort of left it staked on that platform, and so
we can get some gains. And it's not even about that right now; it's about humanity right now, and I just hope things get better.
Couldn't agree more, brother. And hey, it was great meeting you out in Vegas, bro. Take care.
Oh yeah, nice to meet you guys.
All right, dude.
Later, man.
Oh man, this footage. This is new footage. I haven't seen this footage yet. Jeez.
Yeah, we can listen in here. Let's see.
Yes, it is very unclear the military gains or losses that are being had. We know that something is happening in Chernobyl. We also know, and it's worth keeping our eye on, it's about 16 miles from Kyiv, the capital. There's an air base that Russian paratroopers have now secured. We're hearing that from the Ukrainian government. That is really key, especially for the folks who live in the capital. I mean, Russian forces being just 16 miles away is not only frightening, but it's also an airfield. So Russia wanting to widen this conflict is entirely possible. If they secure airfields around the country, that is a supply chain. They can get things in and out easily. That is of growing concern, especially.
And Cal, we've been watching, obviously, Twitter and other places where the president of Ukraine has been very active. The foreign minister has been very active. And they have talked about putting up a fight as hard as they can for as long as they can. What do we know about how fortified the Ukrainian military is right now, how it's holding up?
We're still sort of hearing details from the Ukrainian government on that, Aaron. You know, we understand that there was a column of armored personnel carriers that the Russians had brought in that was hit hard. Certainly the Ukrainians say that they are shooting down aircraft, that they are fighting the Russians where the Russians come. That said, there has been a conscription here of reservists. They're trying to call up reservists. The Ukrainian president has said they will allow anyone in the country who's willing to fight, they will provide weapons to fight the Russians. That said, we don't know where the Ukrainian president is right now. It's not clear that he's in Kyiv. It's not clear that he's here. He's definitely in the country, according to the Ukrainian ambassador to the United States. But part of the original discussions between the U.S. and the Ukrainian government was, do we move the Ukrainian president? Do we move him here where I am? It's an interesting conversation because, of course, Vladimir Putin is thought to have wanted to decapitate the government, to change the government here. And if that is the goal, keeping the government structure intact is obviously going to be hugely important going forward, Aaron.
All right, Cal Perry for us in Lviv, Ukraine today. Cal, thank you.
NATO's Secretary General is out with a statement on Russia's actions, saying this is a grave breach of international law and a serious threat to Euro-Atlantic security. The leaders of Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania also issued a joint statement saying it is a blatant violation of the international law, of all international norms, and a crime against Ukrainian people that we condemn. Joining us now is Judge Andrew Napolitano, a former New Jersey Superior Court judge and host of Judging Freedom podcast. I have to ask you, Judge, a host of other world leaders are also throwing around that phrase, this violation of international law. What is your take on that? And really, how much teeth does it have? Because right now we're only seeing sanctions imposed as a response. But what more can actually be done if they are violating serious international law?
Well, those are two great questions, Morgan. This is clearly a violation of international law. It's a violation of the UN Charter, to which both Ukraine and Russia are signatories, which absolutely prohibits hostilities between two member nations without the consent of the Security Council, of which Russia is a permanent member. It's a violation of about 3 or 4 other agreements to which Russia is a signatory, the most significant of which is the Minsk Agreement of 2015. Why is that the most significant? Because it's personally signed by Vladimir Putin. That agreement sets forth the international borders of Ukraine and recognizes Ukraine as a sovereign independent entity over Vladimir Putin's signature. Now, the violation of these two agreements and other 3 or 4 lesser known ones, but also still valid international law, is not a crime, so to speak. No one's going to go and arrest Vladimir Putin for doing this, but it does unleash the ability of other nations to impose whatever sanctions they are able to impose short of violence.
Judge Andrew Napolitano for us. Judge, thank you so much for your perspective. We really appreciate it.
Of course.
Our coverage of this breaking news, the ongoing crisis in Ukraine, continues.
That's right. Stay with us. We will be right.
Okay, we'll continue to kind of monitor that. So Biden is supposed to talk at about 12:30 in terms of sanctions, and we'll see kind of what that does to the overall markets. Austin, just maybe thoughts on overall markets during these times right now. I know you've been in the stock market too. You have a lot of money still? Oh, no, you said you're completely out of the regular markets, right?
Yeah, I got out of the regular markets probably about a year ago, probably right after we came out of this pandemic and things were starting to come out and we were starting to peak out there. And then that's really where I said, enough with the stock market. I was already into cryptocurrency and I just said, I just like the crypto market. I like the way it goes. I like how easy it is. And so that's where I just put my money. And whether I'm right or wrong, I don't know. We'll find out in 10 years from now if I made the right choice or not. But so far, it's worked out well in my favor. And I think that the stock market is obviously hurting. I think I woke up this morning and said that the market was down 800 points. NASDAQ was down like 300 points. So I saw that it was getting hit pretty hard, but it could come back. I haven't looked at it recently, so.
Yeah, man, I think you bring up some good points. And I think, there's obviously ways to make money in both markets, but I think it comes back to like what you understand the most, what you enjoy doing the most. And I think obviously for a lot of people on this channel and anybody in crypto, it's crypto. And I think a lot of it has to do with, because it's so new, the power dynamics and the structures there haven't been put in place to weed out the little guys like us. And we're able to take advantage of some things in crypto that, we aren't able to do on the other side of things. At least that's what I think. Gary, you can.
Are you vested in it, Zach? Are you actually in on the stock market right now?
A little bit, but I too in 2021 got a lot of money out. Not a lot of money, but the money I had in, I put it into crypto. I stayed into Tesla and Apple, man. That's it. So I still got some money. Bad. Yeah, and I would like to diversify a little bit more eventually, but it's hard to get out of crypto, man, because to your point, we understand it better. We're in it every day. We enjoy it, and we probably just believe in it more. And we feel like we're both, super, super early, like everybody else on this stream. And it's hard to go backwards when you feel like, when you're in crypto, you're going to continue to really press forward.
Oh, for sure. No, I couldn't agree more with that.
So now you guys got me. Oh, go ahead, Zach.
No, I just said, what do you think?
I was just gonna say you guys were really making me want to pull out my money I have in OTC and just go all in on crypto. I did well with Dogecoin, but because of my hodl mentality, it cost me a lot of money. I watched a lot of money go away. So, but I guess I'm just gonna keep holding, right? So I guess if you can have faith in the stock market, you can have faith in crypto, just like anything else. But when you take some risks, like when I don't know what your thoughts are on Shiba Doge, but I saw you did a video on it a couple times, and I got into Shiba Doge probably pretty early, like January 24th. And so in a couple of days, I saw my Shiba Doge, go to $4,000. And of course, I didn't sell it because I was looking at the greater potential. And now it's only, it's just chilling out. So my thing is it's a good time to buy more, but I don't really think I need to buy more of it. You know what I mean? I think having just, 3.6 quintillion tokens is enough,
Yeah, Gary, I think you're hitting on a lot of great points, and I think it's a good teaching moment here because something I always stress, and I will say, the Shiba Doge videos that I did were paid promotional videos. I do have a small amount, and I do have one of their NFTs, which are pretty sweet. But I think this is a good time to think about, when you enter a trade, at least this is how I think about it. And Austin, I want your opinion on this too. When I enter a trade, I literally keep a running document of, hey, I'm entering this at this price. My first exit strategy, or maybe it's the complete exit strategy, is here. So sometimes it's, hey, the market cap's at 20 million right now. When it reaches a $30 million market cap, I'll take my initial investment out, or I'll take 50% of my initial investment out, right? It changes with each asset I go into, depending on how much money I'm putting into it and depending on where I think it could go, right? Like what my conviction is in that play. So I think when you actually create a plan, and I mean write it down, you're more likely to stick to that plan, right? And I'm not saying I'm perfect at this. There's times where I FOMO in and I just jump in, but usually those are the ones where I don't know when the hell to sell, right? Because I just jumped in and I didn't want to miss it, and now I'm like, oh shit, when do I get out? Well, I didn't create a plan. I didn't create an exit strategy, and now I'm scrambling, right? And then in my opinion, you're much more likely then to make poor decisions. I've made poor decisions the other way, Gary, in terms of Dogecoin. I got in at 1 cent and sold at 7 cents. All of it, thought I was brilliant, right? Well, that was a bad move, right? So
You made money, but then you cried later.
Exactly. And
a little Doge tear.
Exactly, brother. Yeah. And you can't win them all. And you can't think like, oh, I'm going to sell at the perfect time every single time. It's not realistic. It's not going to happen. But Austin, like, do you have anything to add there?
No, I think you said it. I mean, you nailed it. I mean, you should, anytime you get into an investment outside the top 100 tokens, like if we're obviously talking the meme realm. I mean, when it comes to these tokens, like the top 10, like Ethereum, Bitcoin, these things, like, you're purchasing these things to hold them. And sometimes you might have to convert it to a USDC coin or something like that because of things that we're experiencing today. But for the most part, you're holding those tokens because you bought them at a good time and you have value in them and things like that. You might be selling off the tokens or the coins that you bought at a higher amount just, to even yourself out. But if we're talking about like the SHIB Doge thing, I jumped into SHIB Doge too, right? I made a couple $1,000s off it, but I knew that if I doubled my money or tripled my money, I was going to take my profits, right? I'm big into the profit taking portion of it, right? I don't need to 10x my bag to be happy. If I miss that, it's okay. There's going to be a coin tomorrow or a token tomorrow that's going to come out that I'm going to 10x my bag on maybe, And so, the SHIB Doge, like I said, the SHIB Doge, for instance, I mean, it went all the way up. I sold half of it. It went up again and I sold the rest of it. And then, it continued to go up, but I was okay because I made my profits and I was able to take that and compound that into another trade. And that's really what I did. And I think that's sort of, I've sort of preached that on my channel. I mean, the Terrarium token that just came out. I mean, that thing 1x'd. I mean, I doubled my money and I told everyone I sold. That's what I want, Fortunately, in that one, I sort of hedged my bet. I mean, you get a little bit more savvier when you get into the trading of things. And so I sort of hedged my bet. I got 2 wallets of Terrarium.
Nice.
And so obviously I still have 1 wallet that holds Terrarium. I had another wallet that held some. And when I doubled it, I cashed out and I basically settled my debt for two wallets on one purchase. So again, that was lucky, right? It could have went the other way as well. And, but I'm a true believer in profits. Like Zach said, set a standard of where you want to meet, what the cap is, and don't look back at that because you'll just, you'll beat yourself up over it, but at least you have money in the pocket to put in something else.
Yeah, just one more thing to add on to it. As soon as I exit a trade completely, I do not look at it again on Dex Tools. It does not exist anymore.
Exactly. Take it off your favorites. Don't even look at it. Take away that, that star on it. Yeah, exactly.
100%. I think this is really helpful, especially times like this. Everybody coming in, a lot of people are so new, and we want to keep people in this crypto space. We don't want people to get frustrated and enter for a month or two and leave. So I think it's important to have these conversations. So what's up, everybody in the chat? Foxy, how you doing? Scott, how you doing, man? We got a lot of regulars in here hanging out, and man, we've been going for a while. I think I'm gonna close this one out. Do a couple of videos here in a little bit, but Austin, thanks for joining, man. Everybody else,
appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man. Guys, if you're not yet subscribed to Austin's channel, go over and check him out over there. He's doing great stuff, great content. diving into whale wallets too, which I really like that. You want to hit on that real quick?
Yeah, I figured, like, let's just say, Shiba, obviously, the Shiba token has the largest whales out there, and it just sort of started with them on, what are these whales buying? I want to see what they're buying. I want to jump in. I want to ride their coattails. I think we all should be riding their coattails because that's where the money's to be made. And so yeah, I just decided to jump into these whale wallets and just sort of dink around and and hey, you can jump on some tokens. Like I said, I mean, Crow is huge. Crypto.com is big into a lot of these whales wallet. They're purchasing it, and I think there's a reason for it, although it's down today obviously significantly. I'm just saying that that's a token to keep in the back of your mind, because I've been through a lot of the Shiba token whales, and that's on their portfolio. So it's fun. It's something that I started doing, and it just sort of became fun. So
that's cool, man. FTX too, right? That's another one. A lot of whales. A lot of whales.
Yeah, well, I think that's actually number one. I think that's the number one token out there right now that has the most whales in it, right?
Yep. Tom Brady, man, everything he touches, turns to gold, I guess, right?
I know. That's why he's the GOAT. So,
hey, Gary, thanks for joining. Everybody out there, thanks for listening. Anybody who joined the stream, we'll definitely do this again. We'll bring viewers on. Appreciate everybody out there. Enjoy the day. Say some prayers out there for everybody being affected by the Russia-Ukraine situation. We'll monitor it. I'll be having some more videos out later today on the latest. So thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
No, thank you, Zach. Appreciate it, man. Have a great day, guys.
Yep. See y'all.
Thank you.